Mrs. Jen. How are you today? And I'm trying to get the feed. There we go. Feed started on YouTube. If you could please tweet the call out, Mrs. Jen. How are you today?
Hey
And
guys, I'm doing lovely.
please tweet the call out and also share the YouTube if your friends do not have Twitter. I know some people don't.
Spence, I will get that all pinned up in the call. So, and yes,
Thanks.
guys, be sure to tweet out the call so we can get more people in here.
Waiting for Tara and Swing and PJ and a few others to join so we can start talking about these bonds.
Spence, I'm gonna have my mic off while I pin some of these the stuff to the call and stuff. So just so you guys know.
Trying to get my webcam working anyways for the YouTube because I know everybody wants to see my beautiful face.
I shouldn't have done the laughing emoji. That wasn't nice.
You know, it would help if I plugged my webcam in.
Everybody, Spence has a beautiful voice and face.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Sounded really sincere.
Oh, come on. I'm being sincere. Come on.
There's PJ.
Hey, PJ. Oh, she's not even up yet.
I had my Super Nintendo controller plugged into my USB port where my camera should be, of course.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to talk about this tonight.
Me too. We can start chit-chatting about it. I mean, everybody's seen the news that AMC did a private offering, 500 million. I'm now seeing tweets that say 950 million for non-convertible bonds. Non-convertible, they're secured. That means there's more than likely not going to be any dilution, which leads me to believe I'm super curious to see who's buying these. It leads me to believe it's somebody that has a vested interest in AMC doing well, because that's a lot of money to put out. Honestly, PJ, if you just want to strike up if you want to just go for it, man. I don't really have a starting point. Or Tara, if you guys want to,
I just want to say hi and give people time to kind of get in here. I haven't tweeted out the call yet or anything, but yeah, I think it would be good. I also have been having a lot of dialogue with AMC Bigums, and he's really got some interesting thoughts on all of this. So I'm trying to ask him if he would come to the call regarding the bonds, which the very first time I ever met him on here was regarding bonds. So it's something that he's heavily dug into. I'm hoping he'll come up and, you know, things can be kept respectful, stick to the facts and all of that. So I'm going to private message you, Spence, and tweet out the call. And if I could just remind everybody here, please tweet out the call if you haven't done so already. A lot of times they're suppressed and hidden, just like my comments are. Yay! So please do tweet out the call. Yeah, someone today accused me of having a tinfoil hat on, Spence, and said, I see your comments on Adam Aron's tweet, and it was a reply to someone else's comment. David, actually, who's down in the call, David Stewart, I had replied to him, and that was the only thing he could see. And I said, no, look again. And I sent my tweets. So I'm definitely being suppressed under people's tweets and stuff, which absolutely sucks. I've been taken out of the Twitter algorithm and all of that. It's terrible. It makes me not want to use this platform at all anymore, to be honest. I just cannot wait for Truth Social. It cannot get here soon enough.
I'm excited for that too. And just Tara, on that, I watched Bigum's video today on YouTube, and it was pretty good. Like I left a comment, and I think he hit the nail on the head with it.
He was the most correct person as far as these bonds, and Yeah, I just feel like credit should be given where credit is due. You know, and on Mark's behalf, you can't get them all right. Mark told me something. He theorized that something else would happen entirely that didn't, as far as the convertible bonds. And I think Mark comes from a place of, obviously he communicates with a lot of short sellers, so that's kind of his circle, and those are his friends, and they have experience. But at this time, do they have good intentions, right? I don't know, but I'm not saying Mark was wrong because he wasn't adamant that that's what would happen, or saying for sure, but he said it's a possibility, and it didn't. So I'm really happy that CEO Adam, it seems, did the right thing, and I also just, yeah, you for putting that video out, and he was spot on.
Yep, definitely credit needs to be given.
And I
for
told
that.
him, encouraged him again to come to the call, and I said, you know, you'll have ample time to talk, and there won't be any back and forth, you know, negativity or fighting or anything like that. That's just not something that needs to happen here. So, but I told him he would have the floor to talk about that video that he put out.
That sounds good. I think that would be great, Tara, if we could get Bigums onto the call for sure.
Is
Okay,
it the
I'm gonna
last?
tweet it out. Sorry, PJ.
That's
Hi,
okay,
girl.
Tara. Hi. Is it the last video that he did? Because I'm not co-host, but maybe one of the co-hosts could pin it to the
Yep.
top of the call.
Yep. You said it was the last thing that Bigums posts. I mean, I can go to his profile and see. Okay. Unless somebody has a link they can send me, and then I can pin it.
I can look for you, Jen, to make sure it's the last one. Don't worry. I'll
Okay.
send it to you in the email.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I have not personally seen the video yet, so
It's worth watching. And
yeah,
he
no,
even mentions the NFT dividend in regards to Adam Aron doing an AMC doing these offerings to reduce the debt covenants, which is something Adam Aron talked about specifically. And I think it's extremely bullish. I think they have been in talks with private entities that are for AMC Health that were willing to buy these so that they can get out from under this death spiral lending that AMC had no choice to take during the pandemic because local and federal governments forced them to close their doors. And then on the backside, these predatory short sellers came in unrestricted and tried to kill the company. And that's why I like Unusual Whales too, because I think if you check and see which Congress people benefited from the pandemic shutdowns the most, and then see who is actually involved in shorting AMC, it makes a lot of sense. There needs to be some type of rule that when companies are forced to close under national emergency mandates and laws, that they need to be protected from predatory short selling.
Absolutely. I agree. I also wanted to say I just sent Bigums that letter, email back that says, this is directly from AMC, from John Merriweather, from AMC Theaters. It says, thanks for your email. The debt offering we launched today are not convertibles. We would be required to describe any convertible debt as convertible in the launch press release or the SEC filings. So it really didn't even need to be questioned because, like it states there, they would have had to say it. They would have had to be upfront and say this is convertible debt, and they obviously didn't because it's not, which is what the shorts were essentially using as ammo against us for like the last, ever since Adam Aron came out and said he was going to be working on renegotiating some of that debt. They've been using that. They've been pushing that agenda that, oh, he's going to do these convertibles and yada, yada. So, and it's obvious, like, whenever there's good news, what does the stock do? It gets pummeled. But really quick, Bigums, as he shared that, if you notice, he says, like I said, this pays off debt with convertible bonds and the covenant that makes NFTs not possible. So he's extremely hopeful, as am I, and I think all of us, that by renegotiating this debt, it also may lift that covenant that is making the STO/NFT idea impossible for Adam Aron to even pursue at this time. It may be possible sooner than we, may have even anticipated because of the work that Adam Aron is doing. So I just want to say he deserves credit for that, for going in I was extremely nervous because I'm hearing it from all different angles, all different ends. I do like hearing what the shorts have to say because I absolutely love when they just get it so wrong. So I hear it from all angles, and I just sat here with my fingers crossed, and today is extremely good news. So anyone who's trying to take it and flip it and make it bad, just like Gasparino, just remember,
Yeah.
they're always doing that. If they're short and distort, whole deal. So
I was trying to find his tweet talking about how it's going to be convertible, and I can't seem to find it now. I'm thinking it must have been a tweet in a tweet, or he took it down. But after trying to run a little smear campaign on you this last couple days about false information, when he came out publicly as an analyst and a national TV news contributor, and again put the wrong information out about AMC, after he came out and bashed on the preliminary earnings release, I don't know. I still don't understand how these guys get away with it. It's like he intentionally is putting out negative news when AMC is having positive news just so the market reacts to it. Because there's nothing negative about what they're doing right now. It's going to reduce so much in interest payments over the next 2 to 3 years. And like Bigham said, with the release of the retail popcorn coming up, hopefully in Q4, he didn't say in Q4, but I'm hoping they announce it in Q4. You now have 2 to 3 years for retail popcorn to pay off this debt at a much lower interest rate. So I'm pretty excited about this. It's all starting to really fall into place, in my opinion.
yeah, I'm looking for that tweet as well.
Hey, can I just say that we should start requiring people who put out these tweets to have some kind of source that we can read, instead of just saying, "Oh, we need to ask Adam, is it convertible? It's convertible." Well, the 8K is there. You can read it. You have investor relations. You can email them. Instead of everybody running like chickens.
We can't require anybody to do anything. That's the thing.
It's beneficial for the
but
community too, but
if I'm reading a tweet and people say you need to ask Adam this, well, why didn't you ask Adam this before you made the tweet?
I'm all about sources. The community should use sources to back up their information 100%. I don't think we can make everybody do it, but the thing you can do is when people do tweet stuff like that out, you can just say, what is your source on this? Because like people, when they come in the call and they start bringing up information that we're not sure is correct or not, just ask them, what is your source? Because if they are shilling, it immediately shuts them down.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I at least appreciate about Bigham's is that when he makes the videos, he puts documents up so you can go research it yourself if you wish, and that's one thing I appreciate about him at least.
You're on a beach, aren't you?
Yeah.
I hear the seagulls in the background.
Oh, just like you've got Gavin and these other shorts who are claiming that AMC's doubling their junk bonds to $950 million. The way that they're trying to misconstrue and mislead people, it's just, you're 100% right, but it's Twitter, and unfortunately, you can't stop the spread of misinformation. And a lot of people, including myself, I'm sure, have, confirmation bias. We look for confirmation bias. Obviously, I'm always looking for the best news for AMC, but at the same time, I'm open to hearing everything, and I appreciate the facts and also people, providing a source, as you said. So, but yeah, it's difficult. Twitter's just, it's like the Wild West up in here. Like people just do whatever, but you cannot say what I said apparently, or you'll get your account suspended for 12 hours.
Watch your mouth,
And shadow
Tara.
banned. And shadow
Yeah.
banned.
Yeah, that's why I said that, because that FX guy account put out that tweet, and I'm just looking at it like, well, what are you doing? I mean, what is this based on? And then everybody just runs with it. Twitter's just a crazy place, man.
Yeah, Twitter's
100% agree. 100% agree. And
today.
yeah, I think you're right. If we all went to it, and went to the tweets and said, where's the source? Provide the source rather than just retweeting it and I don't know, but people are going to do what they're going to do.
Well, today, and I know people are just working on the defense and trying to keep Twitter clean, but I saw everybody arguing with an account that was made in December called Wolf of Sesame Street Bun or whatever. You're arguing with a profile picture that's a fucking hamburger bun, you guys. Like, just block them and move on. Don't let it ruin your day.
That's just a GME elitist account.
And when you tag me in it, all I see in my feed all day is you arguing with a hamburger bun. It makes it really hard for me to get the good news.
Oh, did you know you could mute conversations? You just tap the 3 little dots
I do now.
and then you can mute the conversation. Yeah, I do that. I do that a lot, especially when it comes to the whole GME. Once it gets to GME or versus AMC talk, I'm like, okay, I'm done, because there's really, when people feel that way, there's just for me, there's no point in even engaging.
No.
They have the right to feel however, or favor, whatever over the other. That's their personal prerogative, but it's not fact-based.
And let me just say, I don't really speak on GME that much, but here's the thing about GME is that people claim that GME and their leadership did everything right, and Adam Aron is doing everything wrong. Well, then they have to explain to us, why is the stock down 70%?
Well, and that's what's crazy is there's a lot of bistocksual people in this call right now that own AMC and GME. They're in the same play. I don't care what any of the elitists say. The movement may have started with GME, but AMC picked up right on its heels. It's got the same base, a lot of the same investors. And I just don't get the negativity at this point anymore. It's just silly. I hope GME moons. I hope it moons I hope it goes to freaking Pluto, and I hope all the GME people make a ton of money, because that's going to hurt the people that are shorting AMC as well.
Oh my goodness, it's so quiet in here. Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Hey,
good.
how's
What's
it going?
up?
Fantastic. So I am by the lake in Canyon Lake, Texas, and some of y'all have been sending your stuff down here, and I'm not liking it very much. We're about to get hit. I'm not real excited. Anybody else?
Oh, the snow. Yeah.
I just had
Yeah,
I just had a flight canceled into Dallas tomorrow.
We needed snow so bad in Albuquerque.
Yeah,
it's not even
I'm
funny.
really scared. I don't know. A lot of y'all know that I'm out in at a resort off the river, and it is absolutely beautiful. But one thing you don't want to do is be caught.
Go get propane tanks
Yes,
now.
we just filled up. Look at this beautiful.
yeah. I live in West Michigan here, and we got hit pretty hard. So
I wanted to speak up because I thought the one thing that we're missing is common ground on who we are and what we're standing for. Like, transparency in the market, but as people, who we are. I've seen a lot of fake news coming out and people who are bending truths, and I get it. Sometimes we can lose perspective and focus on not just the goal, but how we're going to. And so what I wanted to suggest was, I used to be a professional and business coach, and I'll tell you, the one thing that I know that everybody adopted immediately was our core values. And they're pretty simple, but they go exactly. Anybody mind?
You want some sliced steak, man?
Okay, I'll take that as a yes.
That was Mark unmuted. I muted him for you.
Values.
Go ahead.
And as you go down them, you decide,
I don't know if
does
she can
whatever
hear
we're
me.
doing accomplish that goal or not? And if it's a yes, you move forward. If it's not, then you stop. So it is, in order, the next 5. Joy, freedom, excellence, and profitability. If you cannot beat those, then let's not waste our time on it. But I find that this oh, this mission, this group, this everything, it fits all of those perfectly. That's really the reason I've stuck with everything this entire time. I mean, I've been with y'all March, April, and I've loved every minute of it. And I keep telling people, I'm homeless. I really am. I was in a luxury boutique apartment overlooking the entire city of San Antonio, and I gave it up. My bills were paid, and I came here. And this is a place where you do things like that, because then I had no additional bills or anything, and I'm not living without. I live a very good life, don't get me wrong, except for when it's going to be really cold like this. But overall, I'm more than willing to sacrifice a little bit right now for a lot of gain in the future. And I think this is a great play. I just wanted to.
Really quick, Spence, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
I don't think Rookie can hear you or me. I don't know if she can hear Jen. Can
Rookie,
you see if she can hear you?
Can you hear me, Rookie? No.
I feel bad because
we'll bring her back up here in a minute. Rookie, if you can hear now, oh, she just dropped. We heard what you said, and I totally appreciate what you said. We're having tech difficulties with you, so if you want to re-request in a minute after you rejoin. Okay.
Yeah, I will try and bring her back up.
Yeah, weather has a definite impact on the market, and deep freezes through Texas and the southern states are something you want to watch. I totally think everybody, if you're scared of the freeze, go prepare, get your propane now before there's shortages and whatnot. And when I lived in Texas, the first thing I did is I go out in the backyard, dig a hole, start a bonfire to keep the ground warm closest to the house. Obviously do it safely, but with ground freezes and slab foundations, you want to protect your pipes. So, okay, where were we? Debt Refi, Discord. Tara, were you inviting Bigums in?
Yeah, he's invited. I'm gonna send you another DM, and I'm currently talking to him in DM, so hopefully he's able to get in here.
Cool, and I sent him a DM too, so with a link to the space.
He should
so
be able
hopefully,
to.
guys, yeah.
Yeah, I have one question for you guys.
What's up?
Yeah, I've been tracking dark pool data since last year, and seems like from December to January, they are earning the money. Do you know any idea what happens?
Completely didn't understand what you were saying, man. What are you looking at?
Well, I've been looking at the netball volumes. Since January, they've been lost so many number of shares, which means that they shorted. Seems like from last December, the short numbers are getting plus.
Yeah.
Normally there was a minus, but since December to January, they got a plus numbers on a netball.
You're talking about shares shorted going down and then coming back up and then wondering where they went.
Yeah.
That's something we've talked about so many times, where everybody's theorizing that they're somehow hiding their short interest, either in the options chain or whatnot, or there's things that happen with FTDs that we've talked about. It's a huge obvious corrupt game that's going on, and I'm pretty sure the short interest is probably more than 20 or 21% right now. But how do you prove that? So what you're seeing, we've definitely talked about before. Where are they hiding them? Where are they going? I couldn't tell you with any certainty, but they have found out ways to manipulate the amount of shorts, and just keep in mind too that short interest or real short sales are not reported like you think they are. They're reported at will, I guess. I'm losing all my words today. But so does everybody have a general idea of what's going on with the secured notes? The rumor was that it looked like it was going to be convertible. It's not. It's secured. I don't know who they're selling them to. I know it's 500 million for sure. I'm not sure if it's 950 because that was just in a tweet. I don't have a source for that. But to me, it's a good thing because it looks like they're trying to reduce the interest on the debt they own plus kicking it out a few years so they can get this retail popcorn established to help pay this debt down on a lower interest rate. What's up, Will?
Hey, how you guys doing? Man, I just woke up from a nap and I was like, oh man, my alarm didn't wake me up so I could come in here. So I missed kind of some of what you guys were saying. So maybe you already said it. I'll look it up if you have. What's the difference between a secured and a convertible debt?
So convertible, to my understanding, convertible means they could take it and transfer it into shares. They could use it to convert into shares, which would dilute the stock. That's my understanding. I might be wrong. Somebody can correct me if not. The fact that this is secured, I don't think they're going to be able to convert it into shares, or if they can, I think the way Adam Aron is doing it is the time frame to pay this off is the whole idea is the reduction in interest and to get rid of the convertibles. That way there's no more dilution. I'm guessing that they found investors for this before they did it. I'm thinking it's somebody that likes AMC, that wants to own it. And then I believe Moody's upgraded their bond rating too. So it's really interesting. There was a lot of information that came out in 2 days after it was posted without anybody really reading the AMC release because it does have the word secured in there. So like you said, Bigum's put out a good video about it. I think he covered it perfectly. I really, really believe, covenants. That's the next big thing. Reduction in interest.
Really quick, Spence, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to give you a heads up. Bigum said he's driving. He'll be here in about 3 minutes. So just keep your eye out. I'm going to try to get outside where a better signal or something.
So the debt covenants, Adam Aron talked on this specifically multiple times, including about Mark's STO plan, which said that covenants would most likely restrict us from doing this. And like you guys said, he didn't file an 8K for that one tweet. That's really strange. So now we see them offering this debt to raise $500 million to reduce interest by getting rid of death spiral lending that they had to take from the pandemic lenders while they were forced close. So now you're saving money on interest over time. The debt's kicked out. The covenants are going to be, from what Adam Aron is talking, the covenants sound like they're going to be reduced or at least alleviated, in some form. And it's going to give them time to set up the new revenue streams to pay this debt off. Now, how much are they going to save on interest? I'm not sure because I don't know exactly. I think Swing found out which ones which bonds, which debt they were going to try to get rid of. And I think he said it was 10.5%. So it was a higher interest rate. So, you save 5% on $500 million over a course of 2 to 3 years. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I believe that they said it was with Apollo that he got rid of.
I think that's what Bigum said too.
And that's why I was posting some of the DD on some of these connections on why it was such a great move. So sometimes, I don't know if you remember, we were all talking about maybe about a month back, and I said, just from dealing with local politics, I got to see that sometimes you have things in the works, but you just can't say it because it's a breach of, and I think he's listening to us. Sometimes we just have to be patient. But for me, it's freaking amazing because not only is this a short-term short squeeze play, but he legitimately turned this into a fundamental long play where after it squeezes, we buy back in, and it's still going to be valued at a way higher rate than what they've been giving it. So I'm excited.
Reasons why retirement funds are heavily invested in AMC as well. They don't usually invest in volatile stocks. It seems like it's becoming more and more of a sure bet. I just saw that new report showed Oregon Retirement Fund is now invested as well in AMC.
Yeah, I pulled up the AMC release from investor relations, and there's one line here that is what we were just talking about, Will. And it says, concurrently with the offering and pursuant to the terms of the indenture governing the company's $500 million aggregate principal amount of 10.5% senior secured first lien notes due 2025. So I'm interested to see what the new interest rate will be. And again, it said secured, and we saw the email from investor relations to Josh, I think it was, Tara posted. So it's pretty bullish news. I couldn't find Gasparino's tweet where he was talking about convertibles and how it was going to be bad. I think he must have taken it down. Tara, if you find it, let me know.
Oh yeah, I'll keep digging for that.
Man, but his reporting is just as good as Jim Cramer's.
If he doesn't tag Tara in something, he doesn't get any engagement. I personally agree with him on a lot of other things outside of AMC. I really do. And I think that if he would write about Robinhood, the buy button in January 28th, he could be going after that Pulitzer, exposing the corruption that happened. But instead, he attacks retail investors on Twitter over a 102-year-old American company. And it's just like, bro, your priorities are so screwed into the mud, I guess that's what happens when you use too much cobble cord. You get your wires crossed.
Sometimes it's also a little bit of that's why I've been trying to do some DD on my own and sharing it was, a lot of these people and these positions are all related. I think somebody was saying, and I haven't been able to verify to make sure it's factual, but I did see where somebody tweeted that somebody at Fox on the higher ups actually is supposed to be related to, I want to say, Griffin.
Yeah, there's one of the senior management. Her last name is Griffin. I can't tell you if they're related or not, but that's something that people should be careful of. Is this, Griffin isn't a completely rare name. There's about 30 billion people on here named Spencer, and I would hate if somebody associated me with a bad Spencer. So I think definitely verifying if she's related to Ken Griffin would be a good thing.
Man, I'm going to go to Ancestry.com.
There you go. I did Ancestry. It was pretty cool. I actually found a long lost cousin that during the 60s, there was a lot of adoptions and parents giving up their kids in the 60s, especially around Oklahoma for some reason. And I did the Ancestry and ended up finding a long lost cousin, man. It was pretty cool. So there's multiple, everybody's probably read the news. If you guys have any sources on the AMC bonds, please just post them up top. We keep getting back to the covenants, and it's interesting that Adam Aron is doing all this, and Bigham's brought it up, and how the community is starting to flip back towards the NFT dividend idea, and the fact that BSTX T0 was approved by the SEC not even a week ago. Freaking, it's all lining up, and I hope once this debt restructuring is done, now all Adam Aron has to do, all AMC has to do is file to the BSTX to be listed on the exchange if they meet the requirements. I went through that the other day and I was reading about it, and it's just so simple to protect your company to have all the trades on a blockchain ledger. I mean, it's auditing later on is so easy, and it's so much easier to go to the SEC with a complete record, serial number, timestamp, date. I really hope they're going to take a leadership role on that. What's up, Paul?
Hey, everyone. How you doing? I wanted to go back to, we were talking about Charles there. I put out a tweet earlier today asking, or not asking, suggesting that we stop commenting on anything he posts on AMC. I'm just looking forward to put up top, because for me, it's the only real engagement he ever gets, and that's why he does it. And if we just stop engaging with him, I think that would be a very good, helpful thing to do. I suggested in my tweet that if he is attacking someone, and I'm so sorry, Tara, that he goes after you, I really am. But my suggestion was that instead of going at him on his comments, to maybe just screenshot it and post it as a tweet without tagging
instead
him.
of a retweet.
Yeah, instead of a retweet, don't tag him, post it. We can all have our own private conversations regarding it. But if you take the engagement away from him and you find that he's not getting any comments, then I think he would go after Hood, and he would go after like the other things that are out there, because he needs to have engagement. They all have to justify their existence at Fox Business. And if he's not getting it through their, what do they call that, matrix or whatever it's called, then he has to, right, he has to find a way to justify his existence there. And I think that's probably a good way to go about it.
I agree. It's just, I think it's a good idea to not give him, that extra attention, because that's what he's seeking. He's trying to get under everyone's skin. So by not, commenting or not tagging, or taking a screenshot instead is probably better, so we don't give him that attention.
Well, I just found out I use Twitter way too much, because, man, and I went through a lot of tweets I put out today. But anyways, I put it up top. And the thing about the Griffin that was on the board, I know Lurking Ghost is in here. Those tweets I think originally came from him, and I don't know if he wants to come up or if he wants to send me something, I can post it up. But he's a good guy, and I trust me personally, I trust him for what he tweets. So we can go from there. And yeah, I mean, for me, the debt or the renegotiation of the debt, that it's not convertible, so they can't make it into shares. Remember, this is my opinion and it's based upon my limited knowledge, is really awesome news. Really awesome news. Like, regardless of the short thesis, just for long term, for the company's survival, it's fantastic news.
Yeah, the asset will serve as collateral for the loan. Like I said, man, I'm guessing that whatever they reached out and found people to do this with before they announced it. I'm guessing they found some really, really straightforward lenders or buyers, however you want to say it. I'm hoping this is the case. But coming out from under these loans is going to be huge, because so my conservative estimate on retail popcorn annually for AMC, and this is very conservative, is $300 million a year. So if you have a revenue stream that is going to be successful, which most likely it will be, and you can use that to pay debts, popcorn profit margins are 80%, usually minimum. Now, them just setting up their popcorn distribution system for grocery stores, I can't imagine it's going to be much more expensive compared to the distribution for their theaters. But you got to include the boxing, the bagging, the shipping, all the logistics. So let's just say they have a 70% profit margin. They bring in $300 million a year. Over the next 3 to 4 years, they use that to pay down billions in debt. And so you could say now, at this point in time, the short thesis on AMC debt is becoming moot. They have a path and a process to pay this debt off now. I don't think there's anything left in the short thesis. I don't know what they're shorting the stock on now, other than the current amount of debt they have. COVID is receding. It's what was it? Denmark said that they're basically done. I saw a post from Mimi somewhere in Europe. They had criminal investigation departments coming in and starting to question law enforcement on trying to enforce vaccine mandates and such. So, we lost Tara. She must be having phone troubles. But COVID's starting to relax. Restrictions are relaxing. Theater engagement's up. We have a massive blockbuster list of movies coming out in 2022. I'm so excited to see Top Gun. I'll probably honestly go see it twice. And now we have this massive debt restructuring that's secured. I don't know. Does anybody have a source on the 950 million? I know for sure it's 500 million. Does anybody have a legitimate source on the 950 million? If you do, please come up and share it with us. Go ahead, Will.
So, the other day I was seeing an article and some people were saying it's FUD, and I did some deep diving into it and looking up the law, the lawsuit, the case, and everything, right? And it was basically about there's a Paramount case against the U.S. where they stopped allowing basically like Paramount Studios, Warner Brothers to own movie studios movie theaters due to it being like a monopoly. So this coming summer, August 2022, the actual amount of time is going to be ending because it was basically reversed in 2020, saying it's kind of obsolete with the way technology and everything is. So they were pretty much saying, theaters can be the next big move. So this is my takeaway from it, and my understanding of it is AMC is the biggest theater, in chain. It's one of the oldest, and we're pretty much in a lot of strategic areas. So it goes with our thesis on the shares for it being shorting. We have the shares, they want them, our stock becomes worth that much more. Well, the same with Paramount, Warner Brothers, or any other studios is how many people are seriously going to go to a Paramount Studios or a theater and all this other stuff versus to the ones we already currently have because of our location and so forth, right? So our theaters are going to be worth that much more because even if the studios want to get in, we own the shares, so we're not going to allow them to buy it, and it's just going to make us worth that much more.
That's interesting, and I'm wondering how much more, considering that people going to the movies is still a little bit lower than say the 2018 levels, right? I wonder how many more people are going to AMC theaters compared to other theaters, comparing to that past time frame. Because short sellers always like to say, well, your attendance is down, this and that, blah blah blah. But how do we rate on admissions compared to other movie theaters currently? You know what I mean? Like, how are we doing compared to Cinemark? And I think that's an important metric to understand, that AMC, their attendance is doing fantastic for just coming out of a pandemic and recovering, where they were forced shut down with a movement like this. And another thing about AMC and the retail investors, we're becoming a more educated group of people with every tweet, every call. We're becoming more refined. We're asking about sources. The overall investment community for AMC is connected and united and educating each other, especially when people like Mark come in and help us understand things that we might not even know about. So another thing that is really bullish with AMC is its investor base and the ability for it to be educated, strengthened, and in communication with each other. And I'm curious, Mark, I was wondering what your thoughts are on this secured loan.
Well, it's a smart thing to do. I think you're erasing horrific debt with better debt, if there's such a thing. So probably did this debt deal when he was up against the wall, and it's probably has lighter covenants and it's a lower rate. So it's a smart thing to do as long as it's not convertible. Thing about the convert, if he does a convert with the stock, let's say off of $15, converts are usually priced that the debt is convertible into stock at a premium over the last. So let's say 30%. So if he were to do a convert, it would be however many dollar convertible debt instrument. It would be lower interest rate, but it would probably be convertible at 20, which would be a short seller's dream, because no matter where you're shorted at, you're basically stopped out at 20. 20, you sort of start losing money, because then the debt picks up as the stock goes up. The value of the convert goes up. If the stock were to go in the soup, then the convert really becomes straight debt. But if you're short the stock, you don't worry. So he should avoid doing convertible debt at any cost. And because the business is clearly doing better, he was able to refinance some of that debt earlier, which is probably why he pre-released the numbers yesterday to do the debt deal tonight or this morning, because people realize that he's doing better, and he was doing better on prior calls, and that's where the skeptics have had it wrong, but they've had the stock right. So
Nice.
that's kind of the setup.
What type of entities would usually purchase this at that amount? What type of, is it businesses, banks? Is it anybody?
Any institution who's looking for junk bond debt as a yield enhancement would buy this debt, and they'd buy it up because you'd believe in the credit. You think the credit's all right, and meaning you don't think it's going to go broke, and you get a high interest rate in a zero interest rate environment. Even if rates went up, if you think AMC is not going broke, it's worth a shot. So any bond fund, high yield fund, institution, insurance company that wants fixed income return, thinking the company's not going out of business, you buy the debt. So that's who'd play it. I mean, there'd be a big appetite for it if people would believe in the credit. So
it actually sounds like a perfect time for this. Then it's good news.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's clearly the right thing to do. Clearly, he's going to have some interest rate savings. Clearly, it's good that he pushes the debt out a couple of years. So all that's good. As long as he doesn't do a convert, he's all right. Now his ties to Apollo, his ties to the man, his ties to whatever. That's all speculation. But so
right on.
That's the simple way of looking at that.
There's Tara. She back. What's up, guys? I see your hands up. Yes, loud and clear.
All right, really quick, I just want to remind everyone in here, please, if you haven't done so, make sure you tweet out the call. Make sure you're following your hosts and co-hosts up here. Show them some love. They put in a lot of work making these calls happen. So please, please, please tweet it out so people see it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say really quick, Spence. I'm trying to find the actual source to that 950 million that people are talking about. I've seen a crap ton of posts on it.
Yeah.
I can't find anything in regards to the 950. Of course, we know about the 500.
I didn't find a source, but I posted up top. You'll see something that comes from apparently exempt, and he's using the source from Walter Bloomberg. So you take it whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting what he does talk about with the debt and the interest in that. So I just posted up top for review. Grain of salt, everyone. But I thought it was interesting, so that's why I threw it up there.
And then also, it just kind of caught my eye out of nowhere. I know this is totally off topic, but does anybody in here know if Facebook had a revenue call today or anything? Because they're down 20% in the last 30 minutes.
Yeah,
hey, you guys.
I think they missed their earnings.
I'm just seeing on FX Hedge, it says MySpace to acquire Facebook from Zero Hedge 13 minutes ago.
MySpace to acquire Facebook?
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't it be the other way around?
Right?
Ooh.
I know, it's
Bring back MySpace.
I love MySpace.
That's hilarious. Well, this is your space, Spence.
I gotta slap my
they're down 69 points right now.
Holy, that's crazy.
I
We thought we
knew.
were down bad.
You
Mark,
guys
I think,
remember
was
when I
going to
talked
respond to
about?
it, but I don't know.
You remember when I talked about shorting Facebook earlier last year? I've
Yep.
always wanted. I've wrote MySpace and said, "Can you guys please make your platform more like it used to be, without all the celebrity advertisements and whatnot?" Man, that's a big deal. It sounds like Facebook is going full metaverse. Like they don't even want to deal with social media like that anymore.
Well, here's the
They stopped
crazy
dealing
thing.
with social media a long time ago.
Here's the
Still
crazy
dropping.
thing. Here's the crazy thing. I mean, who cares? It can go to zero for all I care. So you have Netflix.
Wow, Mark.
Yeah,
That's how you really feel.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, they these guys use their platform to spy on people and take people's information. But you have Netflix blow up, you have Facebook blow up, you got issues with Spotify. All these companies are owned by tens of millions of people. And these
PayPal dropped
companies,
massively as well. I don't know if that's related.
PayPal, that's another one. So all these companies, the mainstream media can follow. But yet, Gasparino, all he talks about is little old AMC constantly. And he talks about Terra constantly. Why don't you just cover names that all these institutions and hedge funds and the Melvins of the world own? I mean, those are the names.
Well, that's what's funny is here, who isn't Citadel like heavy invested in Facebook, Mark?
Well, here's the dirty little secret. The dirty little secret is all these hedge funds or all these institutions, even if you're not a hedge fund, the long only guys, these guys are all levered long these names. They're all levered long Facebook and Netflix and Pinterest and Spotify. You name them, they own them. And these stocks have been destroyed this year. Destroyed.
Well, that's what I was going to say is it's almost like when they go heavy into something like Facebook, like they're vouching for it in such a way. When I go heavy into AMC, no one cares. Like I can say it on Twitter, but who really cares? People are actually following what Citadel does in their plays. They're actually, if anything, I don't know. I feel like that's way more manipulative, especially if they know there's going to be some sort of a rug pull.
So MySpace actually denied Zuckerberg back in 2005 to buy Twitter or Facebook for $75 million.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, after you make your point, Charlie, once or twice, your point's made. But when you bring it up 3 times a day, every day for 200 straight days, it just starts to look strange. It's like, what is the point? What are you trying to get at? Everyone,
he's trying to get me for securities fraud and market manipulation.
Stop. I mean, you go no further than the Cartoon Network enjoying the special investment club about these stocks which go to the ground. The crazy thing is everyone's entitled to an opinion. You can be right, you can be wrong, you can get it all wrong, you can get it all right, whatever it is. But it's just the constant banging of the mainstream media drum against this name is really just makes you scratch your head.
And they're not worried about even being right. They just want to be first.
Well, the
report.
point is, why, if these guys were so sharp, why wouldn't they pop off on Facebook? I mean, the only thing that you guys have said all along is that the business of the theaters of this company was going to be much better in the quarter, and sure enough, it was. It was better. All these other companies are worse, and all these other guys miss and lower expectations and this, and all this other thing. And it's just ironic the way all these guys are trying to play it, and it just sticks out. It just really sticks out. It really makes you wonder what's really up.
I know we had our differences with Trey trades, but this is pretty funny what he just tweeted. Facebook down on news of Mark Zuckerberg, in fact, being a lizard. I laughed when I saw that. That's pretty funny because
it explains everything now.
If you know the
and
joke,
this is a simulation.
He is real human Mark Zuckerberg,
Reptilian.
and he loves his sweet baby rays.
I think Gasparino's whole deal is he thinks we don't deserve to make money in the market.
I think he has an agenda to see AMC not do good. I think a lot of people are heavily vested in streaming services. Streaming's cool. Streaming's going to stay around, but it's hit its growth limit. It's not anything new. You're not getting any added value from streaming. You're just desensitizing yourself to climatic situations that you will feel more in a movie theater.
I think as a journalist, it's really unfortunate to see him be so stubborn at recognizing the fact that streaming, yes, it was propped up and supposed to be this wonderful, amazing thing. And even during the pandemic, it proved not to really be that great, especially for the movie industry. Movie studios have recognized that they take massive losses when they release movies simultaneously on streaming service and in theaters because movies get pirated immediately. Versus a 45-day window in a theater, the best thing you can get is a cam version, and no one wants to ruin a HD, high definition, amazing movie watching a cam version. So they break down and go to the theater, which in turn makes the studio a ton of money versus zero when their movie is being pirated. I think it's really terrible that Gasparino cannot just, eat that one, recognize the fact that movie theaters aren't going anywhere like he had, previously stated. They're not dead. They're back, and they're back with a vengeance, and studios are recognizing it as well. So if anything, streaming service is going to be the next to suffer, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I like to add to that, plus what I was saying earlier about him. So when everybody's on his Twitter and they keep screaming out whatever that cobble-corn or cobblestone or whatever his stupid streaming
don't
service
talk
is.
shit about Cobblestone Creamery.
Well,
Cobblestone Creamery is good. We just got to get that out of the way.
Well, okay, all right. But you guys know what I'm talking about. That's free advertising. Free advertising. So I just suggest we stop talking about that.
I disagree because it's connecting the dots for people who may not have been here as long, and also who may be unaware of the fact that he does have skin in the game because his wife owns Cobblestone. So he does come from a place, Cobblecord, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. Sorry, I don't want to say the right name because I don't want to.
Cobblestone's going to send Tara cease and desist.
I don't want to promote it, but my point is, Paul, that it's important that people do connect those dots. The people who maybe haven't, and if you notice, Gasparino will never comment. He will never comment on that.
I think he's just an attention whore, personally. I think if we all started just ignoring him, he would probably shut up. You know how one of those, like celebrities and stuff, they say any kind of publicity is good publicity because it puts you, in the headlines. And I think that's what he wants. He knows if he says anything about AMC, people are going to come at him. And I don't think he cares if it's negative or positive. He just likes the attention.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So don't
The difference is for me, personally, I do feel the need to stand up for myself when he's directly coming at me and making claims about me doing and saying certain things and building a case against me to get me caught up in some sort of securities fraud or market manipulation. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit back and stay quiet. I am going to defend myself.
Oh no!
Just real quick, guys. Real quick, hold on. Snap's down 20% also. So now you have Facebook and Snap down both 20% or more. That's pretty bullish for, us, considering that these stocks are longs on some of the short sellers, the big short sellers sides against AMC. So
like almost like they could be liquidating some money to maybe, I don't know. I get hopeful whenever I see that happen, knowing especially like Citadel is so invested there that could they potentially be, pulling funds? I don't know. Who knows?
could they have used this news to make an excuse so they could liquidate without people really realizing it? And real quick for Ann Diaz Griffin, the person that's posted on top by Paul, I started looking into her. It's actually Ken Griffin's ex-wife, and she actually has a company that's an investment company called Aragon. So they're all out of Chicago, and there's several links that kind of show like she does almost what Griffin does because they were married for some time, and I believe they have 3 children together. So yeah,
Was
they
was
have
she
a
the
link.
one they had the
How long?
domestic assault problems with, or did anybody read
I
that?
didn't
It
go
is
into
her.
those.
It is her. But
How long ago did they get divorced? Out of curiosity.
2014, to like 2013, 2014, I think.
I thought
Maybe
it was
Okay.
2015.
maybe it was finished by 2015. I also think that she is iceberg. She is the iceberg short.
Iceberg lettuce.
You know what's frustrating to me is that, Gasparino's buddy, Rich Greenfield, I'm sorry, I just, this popped into my brain and I need to say it really quick. It's really frustrating to me that he really backed that penny price target for AMC, which was a complete joke. And I mean, if you consider the fact that, people like my Nana, for example, watch Fox Business and get information on investing from Fox Business, lost heavily thinking, okay, I'm not going to invest in that company. And then afterward, AMC went from $5 to $72. Like, I mean, why is Gasparino not frustrated with that guy for doing that to people, to innocent people? I mean, I'm here with this platform. Yes. I don't know if these people don't understand. I started with 0 followers in March. The people who follow me are invested in AMC. They didn't follow me and then I started saying, "Hey guys, look at AMC." It's the other way around. Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You all were already here. You all were already aware and invested. I never once have said buy AMC stock. I say what I'm doing. That's it. But this guy over here not on a news media outlet telling people this stock is going to a penny. Not only did he make people lose money by not getting invested in AMC, he also lost people money if they decided to short AMC when we were at $5. Can you imagine the losses that people are experiencing if they go off of what Rich Greenfield suggested?
So
Yeah.
so to your point, and if any of these guys bring it up again, and again, I'm not one to tell you what to do. You always tell me what to do and I listen, but I'm not telling you what to do. But if someone ever wants to accuse you of manipulation, you'd say, I would begin to worry about that the day that Rich Greenfield worries about his 1 penny price target and how he induced people to sell on a price target where there's no, and I would use the word reasonable basis. See, everything you have
A
to
cousin of
say.
mine sold at $5. He was in at 20.
So Rich Greenfield lacks something called reasonable basis with his 1 penny price target, and he's regulated by FINRA and the SEC. And for Charlie to allow that to go on, and Rich Greenfield's firm allow that grandstanding effort to go on and accuse others of manipulation is just beyond rich. So, no pun intended. So, one thing that you can mention to these guys is, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But you gotta just cut me a fucking break with all this stuff and quit trying to, inflame, scare, over dramatize this issue when you guys say the same tired, wrong bullshit day in, day out, and you induce people falsely to sell.
Mm-hmm.
You're just someone on Twitter doing space calls with your opinion, and you're entitled to have your opinion. Rich Greenfield actually somehow is actually paid by people to give that shit ass advice he gives, because he'd have you in Netflix, and Netflix is down as much, if not more, than AMC or Snap or Facebook or whatever Facebook calls themselves now. So it's part of the problem is you have more followers, you have more interaction, you have more pop, if you will, than these guys have, and they're jealous and they're doing whatever they can to try to get some of your sun because these guys are all in the shade. That's the
Well,
issue. And
they're outdated and tired.
Exactly. And the people who they, you know, crave to, if you will, are the same people who are buried in these shit ass stocks which keep going down. And you know, and everyone knows this is an adult game, that you have to be over 18 to play, and everyone decides for themselves. And there are no recommendations. Everyone does the best they can. And if you got money in the casino, you either make or lose. And if you lose, it's unfortunate. If you make, good for you. But all these blind threats and these innuendos and this bullying and this pushing around and this fake posturing with the penny price target and whatever. I mean, it's such garbage that these guys perpetrate this shit and then come back and try to push back or push on you. It's just there's all aspects of this that's wrong. And where I try to appeal to these guys is, where the hell is your sense of fucking fair play? There's no fair play here, because Netflix is missed. That's a streaming play. Redbox, which was a SPAC that came out, they blew up today. That thing's down 60%. That's DVDs at home in your DVD player, if you still have one. That blew up. So the at-home DVD play blew up. The at-home streaming play blew up. And the only guy to beat is the movie theater company run by the Corn King. I mean, those are the only guys who've actually beaten numbers, is the company that people keep making fun of and has the penny price target. So the irony of it is, you guys have all been factually correct in your fundamental assessment of the movie theater business in the recent 3 months, and yet all these arrogant asses go and mock you and try to threaten you, when in fact they've been nothing but wrong. I mean, they've been factually and fundamentally, on the companies they push, they've been wrong. And you,
Cough, Jim Cramer.
yeah, I mean, it's the same crowd. So they may not like the movie theater business. They may not like the initiative. They may not like any of it. They may not like the valuation. They may not like the balance sheet. They may not like any of it. But fundamentally, the business has beaten expectations and has done far better than anyone thought. And all the at-home streaming, rent a DVD from the Redbox, all these other companies have done worse. So you know, when anyone wants to accuse anyone of manipulation, I would just throw those facts right back at them and just tell them to shut the fuck up, because these guys are paid, you know, A, flax, and B, they need to be responsible for their actions. No one on this call, I think, is paid. I mean, I don't think there's any grifters on here. I mean, that I'm aware of.
Well, we're just sitting here having a conversation.
So that's my 2 cents. So I would shift the thing and just not be defensive with these clowns when they accuse you of X, Y, and Z, and just say, if you go to the scorecard, whatever you guys are getting paid by whoever your employer is, you're drastically overpaid, because your commentary and your research is just fucking god awful. And how anyone would give Rich Greenfield a dime or would pay his firm for any form of research that it's foolish, because his stuff is shit. You know, that's
Tara,
really.
Tara, the fact that they're reaching so hard at this just shows we're onto something. I mean, we say this all the time in other space calls. Why are we in the news every single day? Why isn't Robinhood in the news? Why aren't any of these other stocks in the news?
They don't want
It's
attention
us.
on Robinhood.
Look
Yeah.
how much money Robinhood Vlad stole from people. I mean, come on. You want to attack someone? You're going to come after me? Me, of all people, because I like a damn stock? Good luck.
No. They're reaching, and they're just trying to scare people so that they'll sell, and it's not going to happen. We know this is a ticking time bomb, and it's going to happen. I don't care if it goes down to $10. It's going to happen. I mean, it's going to explode, and they just keep digging a bigger hole. And guess what? Somebody finally caught them in their own game, and they can't handle it. And that's why they keep throwing mud, is because they know finally somebody caught on to their little foolish tricks, and they're basically stuck with their back against a wall, and they have no idea what to do.
Yeah, it's like essentially they're digging for oil here, and they found a diamond mine, but they've got 4 million plus apes standing in front of that diamond mine that they're trying to get into. And every time that I see somebody, talk bad upon you, Tara, whether it's Gasparino or any random other person, I have you followed, so I see that, and I'm usually 9 out of 10 times I'm right there as soon as they say something to comment too, because it's just all bullshit. Like Mark said, we're all here, we've all done our due diligence, we know that we're in the right side of this play, and we're holding our side, knowing what's coming. We don't know when, but we know it's coming, and when it comes, it's gonna shake the whole fucking market. And that's what they're scared of.
I agree, Aaron. And I think something that I want to add to this is that if they can effectively get me into some sort of trouble for things I've said or done, I think the point would be to sort of set an example using me to scare everyone else from using their platforms or using their voices, using fear, like you're going to get sued or you're going to get in trouble or we're going to come after you. I think that they underestimate me, which I highly appreciate that they do. I like when people underestimate me. And I think that they think they can entrap me or get me to sort of do something that'll catch myself up. But what they don't understand is I've been in here a long time. I have some pretty good life experience as well that they're not aware of. So I'm not an idiot. And if they can, they will use me as a scapegoat or, make me the example to make everyone want to be fearful of, having any sort of a platform or any sort of a voice. I encourage everybody to do the exact opposite. Continue using your voice, continue fighting for your, First Amendment right, freedom of speech. Just like hedge funds can talk behind the scenes, go out to dinner, go out to lunch and discuss where they're going to short or where they're going to long, we can all discuss what stocks we like. So,
Exactly.
and Gary Gensler said that himself.
Exactly. And I just want to add one more thing into that before I drop down for this big gums thing. Just like you said, they might try to use you as an example to try to quiet people, but to also have on the inverse side, there's 4+ million people in this play. We all have done all the DD. We know what's going on. And if they try to pull any string, any little tiny string to try to fuck everybody over that's in this play, just think about how many potential lawsuits there would be. How many voices would be heard, not just in the United States either, all over the world. I mean, how big of a stand that we actually have in this whole thing. So, much love to every single person that is in here. I'm going to go ahead and just throw this out there. Mark, you and I haven't had the best of past. I apologize for my end. I just never really I put myself into a position that was bad with some people, and things just kind of, trickled down from there. So I apologize for anything that I've said on you on my end. But guys, we're winning. We're doing great. Everything's fallen into place. Nobody here knows the exact time period that this will lift off, but get ready because the rockets are being fueled constantly. And when this thing takes off, it's going to fucking take off. So much love. I hope to get big gums in this.
So,
And
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all
Thank
ages,
you, Aaron, by the way.
that's an example of how you get yourself unblocked. So Aaron is officially unblocked. That's he was the poster child of how you get yourself blocked, and he's the poster child of how you get yourself unblocked. So
I
I
think
appreciate
Aaron
that,
is a
sir.
great ape. Aaron, you rock.
yeah. And again, you know, the one simple thing that I think shuts these guys up are very simple. The next time anyone comes at anybody, whether it's Tara or anyone here, was AMC's, were their results better or worse than I or you were looking for? The answer is better. How about Netflix? How about Redbox? How about Twitter? How about Facebook? How about Spotify? How about Amazon? All those results are worse. So the only thing we know for sure is if you tune in to these Spaces calls, and if you want to listen to what's on these calls, we all said the results would be better, and they were better. And you guys all thought the results were going to be better on the 10 names we just mentioned, and they were all worse. So who's manipulating who? You dumbasses. And no one here gets paid. And you're
You
not
could
asking to
literally
get
do
paid.
the inverse of everything Kramer says and make a ton of money. Just follow Pelosi. She has all the scoop.
Well, whatever it is, you just can take their argument and Joe Friday them of Dragnet fame and just turn them all on their heads and just tell them to shut up. And that if they're interested in what Eric has to say, tune into the calls and follow y'all on Twitter. I mean, rather than
Hey guys,
all this shooting. Go ahead.
guys,
Agreed,
and I
Mark.
don't mean to interrupt.
100%.
We just lost PJ in the call, but we're working on bringing her back up to co-host. I just wanted to add here just real quick when we were talking about Asperino and that clown Jim Cramer. Guys, keep in mind just real quick that they are paid for commentators. They are not journalists. A real journalist tries to, or at least strives to, see all sides, of the story. They try to avoid, being biased. A journalist's job and role is to be objective and, to try and be that watchdog. And certainly Kramer and Asperino, they're definitely not looking out in the best interest of retail investors. So just keep that in mind.
Jen, you just said 12 times.
I know I do have a tendency to say and a lot. I know. Yeah.
Does anybody have a direct source on the MySpace buying Facebook thing? Because I cannot find anything on it online.
Wait, what? That's a joke. MySpace is worth $1.298. That's just a joke. That's just someone messing with somebody.
These people tweeting this stuff while Facebook and Snap is dropping 20% makes me really curious, because Citadel, Melvin, and all these clowns are long on Facebook, they're long on Snap, they're long Spotify. So when this stuff gets tweeted out to stir the market into a frenzy on Twitter during a time which I think, somebody said it earlier, looks to be like liquidations to me. It's just really interesting. I think you should tag the people who tweeted that and keep it in the back of your mind.
These guys are all getting their brains blown out. I mean, like they didn't do bad enough in January. And again, as what these Melvin numbers tell you in his history, these guys are all levered into the wall on these names, and they're not short enough of anything that's going down to cover for that. I mean, if you're long a diversified portfolio that's down 20% in a day or 15% in a day, and you're leveraged, what are you short to offset it? Bed Bath and Beyond, right? AMC, you can't set up against what's going on if you're concentrated in these names. It just doesn't. It just the math doesn't work.
And hey, I have a question, Mark. I have a question about like hedging against your long like that. Like, is it fairly standard practice to go like 1-to-1 on puts in your long positions to hedge against your longs, or do you go like, or is that a not so standard
No,
practice?
what these guys do, because they're not good at shorting stocks, they're awful, and they all get in the same crowded trade. Is these guys are probably 300 to 400% long these kind of names, for lack of a better term, Kramer's Fang names and others, and they're short, QQQs or the Russell, which is IWMs. And it's great. IWM, could be down 8% this year, or 9%, or 12%. And maybe it goes down 2% tomorrow, or 2.5% tomorrow. But if your longs are down 15 and your short is down 2, you're still net down 13 on leverage. And, these guys, these players, the guys who manage all the billions, these fast money guys, they're not long United Airlines, and they're not long Alaska Airlines, and they're not long JB Hunt Trucking. They're long the names that have popped to them.
Gotcha.
So the MySpace, the Zero
Now,
Hedge apparently
like
hates
this,
Facebook. So, oh, sorry, Mark, you're breaking up. We can't hear you.
do you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
So the short turns into a real mess. So so that's my thing. I gotta take a lead.
Mark, you're kind of cutting up again. I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
Same. I think he said he had to take some leave for a bit though.
I couldn't understand what he was saying.
That was
probably got a phone call to answer.
That was the best that I could gather out of that.
Right.
It seems like every time that Mark comes back and says, "Okay, can you hear me?" that part is fine, and then when he starts to talk again, it just goes.
Yeah, bro, it's the freaking FBI freaking shorting his communications with their secret moon satellite. As soon as we go to the moon, the first thing I'm doing is shutting that down.
Well, this is what I heard.
I
This
just
is
really
what
quick, I want to say a huge shout out to people like Rhonda for tweeting out the call. I just saw you in the feed tweeting it out. I really appreciate it. I'm sure Spence appreciates it. I can't see calls at the top of Twitter currently, any space calls. So seeing it in the feed is super helpful. Thank you guys.
So my interpretation of what Mark was saying is the hedgies are fucked. That's what I took it as being.
Yeah, that's very much what he was saying.
When one of their heavier weighted positions, two of their heavier weighted positions just dropped 20% the same day.
Miserable January, and we're what, February 2nd? I mean, February 3rd for them is.
Mark, can you hear anybody? Mark? Did he just pop in for you guys?
Yeah.
And then
I think he was been talking the whole time and can't hear us.
That's wild.
So
yeah.
I think I know part of why that is. Oh, he just dropped to listener.
I'm bringing him back up to try to fix his.
Cool. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah,
I hope so, because I'd like to hear more what he was saying. I found that fascinating.
Yeah, and like so, Mark pretty much answered what I was trying to go for there. I was just kind of curious about when I go and I look at some of those 13Fs, particularly from places like Citadel, you'll see that they have like some really absurd number of calls and some really absurd number of puts. Of course, they don't tell you the strikes. And then, of course, a lot of times they also have a core long position. So I was just kind of curious, do they do like a 1-to-1? Is there a standard practice on that? Is that a normal thing to do? Or, is that kind of the newfangledy way of doing hedge funding that has been so prevalent since all this leverage has been added into these markets for so long. But I have to go in about 7 minutes, and I just was kind of wanting to pop in and talk about my news. I told my manager today that February 28th is going to be my last day working, and I'm going to be working for myself, which means I'm going to be working on some programming code to help us out. Some stuff specifically for swing traders, what I'm starting out with to analyze vendor data. So I will be free to start working on that pretty soon, which, if the theory works out the way we think it will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt how many shorts there are in existence, and whether or not it's possible that they could have covered. So
Awesome, man.
I know I'm
If you
kind of
guys aren't following Jay Brett, make sure you follow Jay Brett. He is freaking amazing, superhuman over here.
That's impressive.
The last 7 months or so, there's been somebody on my team who has just been pure toxic, and it and what has been going on with AMC and GameStop has been kind of beating at me for a while. So like, I've been having additional health issues because of the pandemic and the fact that I've been overworked. Like, I really loved my team for the longest time, and I tried so hard to help rebuild it. But when management doesn't ever hire people to replace people, because, by the way, lots of people are leaving tech right now, Amazon specifically.
Jay, I'll tell you, brother.
I know that because these are my coworkers that are leaving, including myself. I just saw a principal engineer a couple days ago go to Facebook. I knew he was going to be leaving soon, but like, I've seen on my LinkedIn, I've seen a bunch of people I work with recently all abandoning Amazon in the last, like, I don't know how many several weeks, like since the beginning of the year.
The labs are waiving degree requirements here at Sandia and Los Alamos because they have so many people quitting.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nobody's paying what they need to pay, and like, the people who are hiring and making the wage decisions are, essentially just making really bad decisions. And they're trying to entice people to come work, but then they're offering them, terrible wages for the area. Oh, and then they want to try and get them to move to the Seattle area, which is hilariously laughable considering the housing market is in a fucking bubble. So, I mean, it's like, my house is almost 100% higher than it was when I bought it 5 years ago. So
I'll tell you, man, leaving a job is scary, especially when you have one as good as yours. But
I know, like,
I didn't have the opportunities I have now until I left my job working for the government. I was terrified. I was like, what am I going to do, man? I've worked my whole life for this. I got my degrees. I did that. I left, and my life improved so much because I could do the things that I wanted to do on my own time and actually manage my money the way I wanted to.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see what you do, man. I'm excited. That's big news.
Yeah, man. So keep that conviction.
I'm starting my own business. I've already started some of those processes. I'm working on insurance for myself, and I'm actually going to be partnering up with a longtime friend of mine who I've known for over 20 years and who's smarter than me. But I'll never tell him that, because he's really egotistical about it sometimes, and it drives me nuts. But like I said, he's one of my best friends, and I'm not kidding when I say he has a 160 IQ. Like, that's not a joke, and that's how most of the people were that I went to school with. So, like, me being the roughly on the edge of genius level, from what I've been told many times.
You're our quantum computer tech support bud.
The people I grew up, I was the dumb one of the group, supposedly, even though a lot of people will say I'm a genius, but like, I've always felt that I'm just under that line. But I went to school with all of them, so I always felt down about my intelligence, even though I know it's pretty up there. But anyway, he's already got a business. He's already got some clients and stuff, so I'm gonna be helping him out with that along the way. But I'm also gonna be doing a bunch of open source software and stuff to try and help with the markets, and anything I can that can that can move the needle.
You guys should develop a platform for AMC to do what they're talking about doing with the reviews and the social media type thing, man.
That's not my particular area of specialty, but it might be something I could go after. I actually also have another thing that I'm going to be doing with my best friend's wife. She's a dentist. But anyway, I have to
You should
go.
rephrase. You should phrase
This
that
is my
differently.
meeting that I'm running here, so that I've got to jump to. So I will catch y'all later.
Can I just ask you one question, Jay Brett?
I have to go. I will
Okay,
be back.
never mind.
luck,
I'll
Jay
catch
Brett.
you later, buddy.
I'll be back in 30 minutes,
Congratulations,
Tim.
buddy.
Yeah. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
All right, see you in a bit.
See ya.
Has anybody heard
Hollywood?
from Big Gums? Real quick.
I haven't.
The last I heard from him was like maybe, let's see, sent that DM. Hang on a sec, guys.
If he can't make it this call, we'll try to get him into the
yeah.
next call.
And he said that he needed 3 minutes, and like I said, that was maybe about like an hour ago. So.
Well, I hope he's okay. I don't know where he's at, but you know it's snowing in some parts and traffic, and it's that time for traffic in some areas.
Yeah, and I know he got back to Tara too and said the same thing. So, yeah, hopefully soon, guys.
I think, has anybody posted the link to the video? Yeah, actually, Jen, if you wanna change the title of the call just so we're not luring people in just for that. I think Tara just they dropped Tara again. Man. Let's do these hands. What's up, Hollywood?
Hey there. Is Tara in here?
She just dropped. I'm trying to bring her back up.
Oh, because I wanted her to hear what I had to say.
Do you want to wait until she comes back up?
Yeah, because it might be of use to her regarding one of Rich Greenfield's partners. Rich Greenfield is the mouthpiece, but I had the honor of being blocked by one of his partners, Walter Piesek. He actually was fined in 2005 by $75,000 for spreading a false rumor and shorting a stock.
Sounds about right. It's the current sentiment of the legacy market and the legacy people in the market that they can just say and do whatever they want to manipulate because there wasn't 50 million retail or however many new retail investors with their nose plugged into the computer all day, catching them in their lies, backed by $1 trillion worth of retail money.
Yeah,
these guys have played.
I'm back, Hollywood.
I mean, but so he has a history, and this is Rich Greenfield's partner, so that's what they do, and he was fined for it. Not when he was with this company, obviously. This goes back to something that happened in 2002 that he spread rumors about a company, shorted the stock, made money, and then was fined. So, he's talking, Gasparino is harassing Tara about it. She's doing nothing wrong. They have a history of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tara's like she always says, she's not a leader. She's her own individual person, but she is a pillar of support in this community. And her platform is huge. And she's a threat to these old dog, tired out, outdated, boring people that are news contributors that are constantly lying, constantly misleading people because they still think it's 2008. They don't understand social media and viral sensationalism enough to know that everybody is saving receipts against them. And when AMC does squeeze off, we're all going to come back and say, hey, you need to retract your statements. And in my opinion, Greenfield is an absolute fraud at giving a penny price target.
Sure.
Because it's just so misleading to be able to do that on the platform that he had. It's especially when he's vested in his own fund. It's crazy, man. These guys think it's still 2008 and they don't understand what age we're in.
Hey, Spence, just to go off of what you guys were saying. So this goes into more of the research, right? But not only is Anne Griffin part part of Fox. She's also an independent director, and she actually has a company called Reboot. And there's two of them. There's two different versions, but one of them specifically deals in social media. So don't think that they necessarily don't understand it, versus that's why they're spending so much money to come in here and pay for these shills and other things. You know what I mean? So they understand it. It's just that they don't actually have the ability to get a real following like Tara and the other people, because they're paid. They're not passionate. They're not doing their DD. The interesting thing that I was looking at was it talks about corruption as like their disclaimer for Reboot, but her and Griffin were also involved in trying to, I guess, support or lobby for actual elected officials. So
Yeah.
and also she's works with. It looks like she's an analyst for Goldman Sachs. She owns Aragon, and she's on the board for there. So I mean, I'm just trying to figure out the ties, because there was a few other names that I was seeing. So I'm just trying to go through it before I start posting, so I could have all the links ready so I could post it.
I think ultimately what happened is what you just stated, Spence, that people underestimated the power of communication, especially during a pandemic when everyone resorted to social media to even be able to do their jobs. They had to get on Zoom meetings. I mean, let's be real here. These guys thought that they could run this short and distort scheme on AMC movie theaters because of the pandemic, because of their interest in, bettering their streaming service and their ties to streaming services. Therefore, they thought they could really pull this off. So, of course, they're angry at people like me who said, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that movie theaters are dead. I don't believe that AMC Theaters, who has withstood the test of time and been around for 101 years, is going anywhere. So I'm going to invest in it. I believe in the stock. I believe in Adam Aron. I believe in the company. I don't think they're going anywhere. And so did all of you. They didn't expect this sort of thing to happen and catch them in the position that now they're stuck in, which I guarantee is a short position, which is a lot worse than a long position. And yeah, I would be angry too, but to try to pin it on me, this was each of our own individual choices and decisions to get into this. And still to this day, if someone goes and buys AMC stock, are they going to claim? I mean, Oregon Retirement Fund is now long on AMC stock. Is that because I talk about AMC stock on Twitter? I don't think so.
No, the
So,
Oregon
yeah,
Retirement
Spence, you're
Fund
right.
definitely follows you for financial advice.
I could tell you guys
I
one
kind of
thing. One reason
wonder.
why
I'm
they're
like,
mad.
well,
They
So
hi,
hi.
Sean.
These guys. I'll tell you why they're mad. I know why they're mad. You know why we all, ever since we've been in since February, we all call ourselves OG apes, right? Well, they think they're the OG stock guys, and that's why they're so pissed, because we're all in here doing all this, and they're falling by the wayside because they're used to things the way they were 30 years ago. That's exactly why they're mad.
Yeah, imagine being a surgeon and some guy on the street named Will pops in on the scene and he's like, hey, have you tried doing it this way? And comes up with a way better way to do the surgery you've been doing for years and years and years, a way more efficient, way cheaper cost, a way better way of doing it. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be like, wait a minute, no, don't do that. We want to do it our way. How dare you? Who are you? You didn't go to finance school.
Exactly.
And you're exactly right, Sean.
And then what are we going to do in probably 2 or 3 years whenever they're going to have another easier way to do it? And we need to be open to that, just to keep our minds open.
Well,
absolutely.
Here's the funny thing, is that these guys get on TV to try to influence retail investors where they want their money to go. Why are they going to come on and attack the community that they're trying to get us to? They want our money. They don't care about you. They want to control where our money goes, but they get on TV and attack everything we do. We are the market now. That's what they don't get. These guys are outdated. They refuse to grow with the times, and it's sour grapes. When they're becoming irrelevant, they turn to sour grapes, and they have to get on and attack people like Tara because they have nothing else to do. All Gasparino does is just retweet news that's about to come out or has already come out. And I'd say 25% of the time what he tweets is pretty inaccurate compared to what's actually going on, like the AMC debt refi. It's sad at this
Well,
point. And
it's what's funny is my grandma passed away, not nothing like that, but that was like 2-3 years ago. But my grandma always wanted to be on the cutting edge of everything. So, she'd had me teach her how the iPad works. She was 88 years old when she passed. But so everybody was like,
Sorry for your loss, Sean.
no, it's all right. But I mean, I loved her to death. But the thing is, everybody, all of her bridge workers and everybody was like, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And why? That was the funny part. They're like, why would you even care about that kind of stuff? Well, that's one thing that Cohodes has over on a lot of these other guys is he's actually open to the new world, to the new technology, to all the stuff that's out there now. He's got a grasp on it where these other guys have no grasp whatsoever. Their mind is stuck and it's not going to go anywhere either.
Well, he knows how to get to the
someone came
there.
up and said something about him not being tech savvy, and I just laughed out loud. I was like,
I thought that was pretty funny too.
here's someone who's bringing forth an idea, and it effectively is a huge part of history with getting the first ever blockchain exchange accepted by the SEC. I wouldn't say that he's not tech savvy. That's a huge misstep.
Just because you don't know how to code the program doesn't mean that you can't be someone that knows the best application for that program
or how to use it.
Right.
I am
Mark
not
sees things and knows where they need to go.
I am not tech savvy. I still use a typewriter.
But
yeah, we know, Mark. Are you on your typewriter now on this call? Is that how you joined the call, on your typewriter? Your fax machine?
I know the
your payphone?
I know the capital of Oklahoma is Oklahoma City. I know the capital of Delaware is Dover. I am not tech savvy.
What's the capital of Florida?
Tallahassee.
It's Jacksonville, isn't it?
It's Tallahassee.
Oh, I don't even know. It's funny because I was trying to remember the president's name.
Okay, Iowa, guys,
story.
Name it.
A true story.
Lemoyne.
I was so bad at school. I once had the state capitals of this country literally beaten into me. So I am very good on state capitals.
So am I, Mark. You want to go head to head?
One year I had to go to remedial
Did you hear me
math.
say Des Moines, Spence?
I did. Very good.
You're welcome.
What's the capital of New Hampshire?
No idea.
That one was always the tough one.
The capital of New Hampshire is Concord.
Mm-hmm. Concord grapes. That's how you remember.
That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
What's the capital of Vermont? The answer is Montpelier.
That's right.
Okay, capital of Michigan.
Detroit.
Lansing.
Beaverton, obviously.
Lansing.
It's Lansing.
Until I paid attention in geography.
It's Lansing, yeah.
That was about the only class I ever did okay in. That and technology.
When I got to consumer math, I was good.
All the short sellers, the big hedge fund short sellers listening into this call right now going, they're reviewing fucking state capitals. God, how are we losing?
We're doing our school lessons today, kids. But here's the real question. Here's the real kicker. Wait, hold on. Never mind. Never mind. You say it, Mark.
The real kicker, without looking at the internet, there are 4 states whose capitals begin with the same letter as the states. 4 of them. So let's see who can name them first. Seems a little quiet out there.
Anyone?
Well, I'm trying to think of the 4 states at the end. There's Maine, there's Michigan, there's Mississippi.
No, I know, but the capitals of those states begin with the same letter as the states.
I know. I'm just trying to remember the name of the M states. That's all.
I'm not good with geometry.
Well, it's a good
Missouri, but it's not. It's not Missouri.
Anyway, I don't mean to get everyone off topic. I was just trying to defend my untech savvy self.
This is all going to be
I'm
used
not good
against
with
us.
geometry, and we're talking about geography.
I know.
That's
If you knew me better,
stupid.
you would know it's my jokes.
Yes,
Jay Brett's
I
got his
heard
phone
it.
in
I
his
just
pocket.
couldn't unmute fast enough. That was funny, Will. I love that.
Jay Brown sitting in his meeting with his phone in his pocket, listening on his earpiece, just sweating bullets, wanting to answer every question, right?
How about when Will
Hey,
just
Mark.
called it
Hey, Mark.
geometry? I know that one just made him like, oh my gosh, I need to get in there.
Hey, here's
Hey,
a
Mark.
tech joke.
Capital of Hawaii is Honolulu, and the only reason why I know that is because I went there, and I'm Canadian.
Okay, you got one. No, you're an Arctic Mexican. Okay, you got one.
Oh, that's right, but I should only be able to get one. I don't need the rest of them.
I thought that was specific.
There's 3 more. You have one. Well done.
The next person to name one, I'll send an NFT.
And don't look on the internet.
Isn't it Oklahoma
Delaware.
City, Oklahoma?
That's number 2.
Delaware.
You have number 2.
Can you guys hear me?
Delaware's
Dover.
correct.
Yes.
Dover, Delaware is number 3.
I'm literally naming all the capitals and states in my head, and it's taking forever.
Good.
New York?
No, it's Albany, New York.
Yeah, New
Okay.
York's not the capital.
I don't
That's
care.
That's a good trick question though, because most people would assume it is.
It's
Oh,
not government.
I was in exile for 4 years in Albany, so definitely not New York. Went to school up there.
This is pretty good how everyone's quiet.
What about Indianapolis, Indiana?
We have a winner.
There it is, Rhonda. Rhonda wins.
Well done.
It took the collective brain power of everybody up in the speaker roles.
What does she get as a prize? I think she should get a prize because she got 2 out of the 4.
Who was that? Hollywood or Rhonda?
Rhonda.
Do you have
That was Rhonda, our girl.
Do you have an OpenSea account for NFTs, Rhonda?
That's a bit. Yes, I have the. Could I use the Wax account for that? I have our AMC NFT in.
It has to be OpenSea because that's where they're minted. But
Okay.
OpenSea's easy.
if you have an OpenSea account, DM me your wallet address and I'll send you an NFT.
Ooh, I'm so excited. That's awesome.
They're good ones too.
If
You
I
can get some things in life by doing well in school.
well, that you can
So
also
I'm
get,
just
you
reading
can
this
also get far in
article
life
really
by doing
quick,
shitty
Mark,
in
about.
school.
I'm reading this article about Disney looking to hire NFT expert to lead its efforts in the space. I'm just curious. Sean, could you mute yourself really quick?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or
Was
maybe
that-
that's
is
coming
that-
from Mark. I don't know.
No,
It could be Mark. I'm not
Say
sure.
that
But
again,
I
Tara?
don't know if you guys. So I'm just reading this Disney article. Disney looks to hire NFT expert to lead its efforts in the space. It says, with interest in the non-fungible token market on the rise, Disney posted a new job opening for an NFT expert to lead the company's efforts in the space.
Nice.
It just makes me extremely bullish about the BSTX thing.
Yeah, where did we hear Disney's name mentioned in this space? I wonder where
I don't
we heard
know.
that.
Wherever
Yeah.
did we ever hear Disney? That's so crazy.
That's why people should tune into these things and turn off Fox News and the Cartoon Network and things like that, and just listen in.
Well, it's funny because Fox News tunes into these to report on what we're talking about, but then they just get it completely wrong.
Which you can find that call on episode 7 at Froggy Stonks on YouTube. Yep,
well, but the other thing is, I really.
Mark, come in, Mark.
I totally understand why they'd listen in, and I think that's good and that's complimentary. But then at the same time, they should show some decency and respect for what's being said and just not knock everybody. Just allow people to have an opinion.
Like our state capitol conversation?
Yeah, I mean, that just throws people off. So the people monitoring these things say they're getting off track for 10 minutes. It's just
And Mark nailed it.
Boo-hoo. They just want to know our next move.
Mark
Don't give
nailed
it to them.
when we talked
That's my
about,
fault.
guys, if you're not talking, mute your mics, please. Mark nailed it when he said everything he said earlier about our past calls where we predicted movie revenues. We predicted box office. We gave AMC all these ideas they're using to fix the company and bring it into the 2022, bringing it into blockchain, bringing it into crypto, getting rid of the debt.
we talked about
And
how December could be a very tough month for hedge funds, and if they start doing poorly, look out for January because people are going to get redeemed in Q1. We talked about that
Mark
on the call.
specifically said that.
Yeah, we specifically talked about what could happen about year end with hedge funds and performance, and people can't stand losing money, and when they lose money, hedge funds get redeemed, and when you get redeemed, you get your positions destroyed, which is
Absolutely
exactly what's going on. So I mean, the funny thing is, for free, and last I looked, all these calls are free. If people listen and listen carefully, they may actually learn something. And instead of learning something, how people want to turn it around and start assassinating innocent people's characters is just beyond pale. And
Yeah.
again, no one likes me mentioning rascals' names, but you know, if you're evicted from your house and you have to take a shower and bathe at a gym, you know, you're not what I would call a financial expert. you're just not.
Well,
and
coming into that,
and to characterize yourself as such, those are the people the Gasparinos of the world should be going at. You know, people who openly and completely fake what they are, what they do, how they live, and give investment recommendations, mocking others who question them is to me is beyond, just absolutely beyond. So,
and that brings me up to piggyback off you. Lana, the investor, who was an absolutely just horrible individual person on David and Goliath's call, who said on a call that she would physically harm Tara, is an absolutely ridiculous person, as she's just been found on a Discord telling people AMC is going to $7, and it's these
and recommending they buy puts on AMC.
Yeah. These are the shills that we warned everybody about. These are the bad actors we warned everybody about. They're not apes. If you come into the movement and you go into a space call and immediately start attacking someone because that's just what everybody else is doing, that's not being an ape. That's being a terrible person. I've blocked everybody that said a bad word about me because I'm not going to engage with them past anything professional at this point because it's a waste of time. So when we find these same people on Discords and other platforms telling you to sell AMC when they got AMC OG in their name and title, it's just pathetic at this point. We're still here. We're stronger than ever. The community is starting to come back together, as you saw the conversation with one of the speakers and Mark earlier. And it's just time. It's time to stop messing with these folks that are constantly on Twitter attacking Tara or attacking me or attacking Mark or anybody else who's been a reliable person and stood up to defend not people's honor, but their basic human integrity. It's just time, you guys. All the ammunition, the ball is in our court right now. AMC's looking good, the community's strengthened, and we have more push than ever.
Well, it's pretty sad if there are people who claim to be apes who are working just as hard as the short sellers to discredit me or accuse me of things I'm not doing. Basically, just know that's the group of people you're in line with. That's the group of people you're shoulder to shoulder with in coming at me. You're essentially working with Charles Gasparino. So congratulations. I hope you're happy.
And Mark's called it out since day one.
I've called it out since day one, and no matter where the stock is, the movement is as strong as I've seen it. And even though the stock was higher when I first showed my head in, it was just a mishmash of people with all varying interests. But I think the people on these calls understand right from wrong. And I think no matter where the stock goes or what the stock does, I think you're all better investors for listening in on this thing. And you're all responsible for your own money. No one else is. And, you know, it's a big person's game. And look, you know, if everyone wants to mock me for Overstock and Enovix and things I like, I'm losing my ass on stuff. But that's okay because I believe it, I know it, and I like it. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Every year is not a great year. You don't always make. And as I said on a prior podcast, the greatest of all time, Nolan Ryan. He had the most wins. He's had the most losses. He's had 9 no-hitters. And about the most home runs. He struck out the most. He's also walked the most. So for a while, you're going to make
Hey, Mark.
mistakes,
Yeah,
and you're
I can't hear him.
Does anyone hear me?
For the people DMing and asking me who the person is who is attacking me and threatening to come find me and beat me up because she also lives in California, that was Lana the investor. I pinned the tweet to the top showing what she had said in the Discord. I believe it's a paid Discord, not 100% sure, which there are a lot of those, and we were going to, I think, sort of talk about that. There are a lot of paid Discords where people used this movement and AMC to garner attention, garner a following, and then they went and got people hooked into paying them a monthly fee to sign up for their Discord. In one of them, the person who runs it, who is the admin or whatever, actively talks about lynching me on Twitter, which I don't know if that is something that someone should even say, that word. Personally, I don't use it and I don't like it. And I don't like it being said about me or anybody for that matter. That same person also made it a rule that you're not even allowed to now talk about AMC stock on their Discord, which is what they use to grow their following, including
it's
Trey.
Review Dork, I'll say
Yeah, Review Dork. The other person is Lana. She tweeted out or put out in the Discord, I don't know if it's hers or someone else's, saying this will be the tip of a lifetime, puts on AMC 1310 all the way to 7. Everyone stretch out dates. I see it going all the way back down to 7 before it springs. She's another person who used AMC but was never really actually a part of all of this. So I don't like throwing out names, but at some point it does need to be said. These people have worked tirelessly to discredit me, to try to, I guess, use my name for a little dose of clout. I'm not really sure. But then they turn around and tell people we can't talk about AMC or, no more short AMC or all of these things that we kind of, like Spence said, warned people would happen.
Yeah, and the whole point of bringing this up is I want people to know at this point in time, we've been in the movement long enough that these toxic people need to be you just got to get rid of them. Because if we're going to move forward, like Mark said, we're stronger than ever right now. If we're going to keep it and keep moving forward, then this stupid, toxic personality trait of attacking people online through tweets and Discord posts and stuff, it's got to stop. I've never seen these people post anything about going to the movie. I've never seen them post ticket stubs. I've never seen them in any of the charities. They came on to attack Tara, to attack her following, when she was under more pressure than anybody I've seen, because she was getting attacks from the MSM as well. And they were doing it just to create a following so they could take your money on a Discord. I don't get paid anything for this. The YouTube channel, I'm not taking a dime from any of it. I don't think Tara gets paid for anything. We're all here just to have a community
I don't get paid till I sell AMC at a profit. I don't
Right.
get paid till everybody else gets paid. And I'm
Right.
not selling. So there you have it. No, I do not get paid. I've spent hours and hours that I can never get back of my life here in the trenches with all of you, not because I want to make money off of anybody, simply because I believe in this play. I believe in market fairness, and I believe in using my voice and a platform for that. And I'm not going to let anyone try to strip it away from me. It's easy to let those attacks, to take them personal or to want to go cry in a corner or something. But at the end of the day, I'm a big girl and I can handle it. But it does need to be recognized and called out, because I knew eventually these people would show their true colors.
I'll tell you how much I believe in AMC. My baby girl, she's 20 years old now. She just turned 20 last October. First movie she saw on AMC was Monsters Incorporated. Only I don't know that she watched very much of it as she was breastfeeding at the time. That's how much I believe in AMC.
That's awesome, man. That my daughter's first movie too was the Lorax, I think. And she woke up for the one part where the goldfish are jumping around and went out of her mind and loved it, and then fell back asleep. So
sounds about right.
What's up, Nene?
Hey guys, hi Tara, hi Jen, hi Spence, hi everyone.
Hi,
I just wanted to say
Nene.
something, Tara.
Nene? Sorry.
I became friends. Well, I didn't follow her, but she followed me, and then I followed her back. I didn't know her story. And normally I don't get into the mix of things. I just here and there defend people here and there. But one day I went into a space call and she blocked me. That same person that you were just talking about, Lana the investor, right? And I'm wondering why. Because I don't bother people. You know that. I don't engage in anything. I just like to call out AMC and say AMC this, everything.
Nene,
Sorry,
that happened
No,
to
no.
me
What
too.
I was trying to say is that you're right. There's a lot of people that I've seen since came into this movement, and they start off, all cool and whatnot, all where for AMC, and I slowly start to see them turn. But I can always say this for you, Tara, and I want your listeners to hear this. You've never once say sell AMC or do this to AMC. You've always pushed AMC, and I commend you for that. Through all I may not agree with this with the blockchain and stuff because I don't know about it. It's not because I don't want to know about it. I'm learning. That's why I'm gonna start jumping in the calls more often. So I don't know about it, and I'm not saying I'm for it, okay? But I want you to know that for you, and I was called a simp once a long time months ago.
They called me a simp too.
I've never heard you once bash AMC. What we started off, we didn't know anything else but AMC and the ticker. We didn't know who owned it. We didn't know any of that. And I commend you for that. And I want you to don't change who you are for anyone because you held strong. A lot of people, lesser men, back down from this, and I want you to understand that as long as we are all on the same page, I'm a teacher, and we all have group work. We all approach it differently. We all have our own views of how we are going to complete this project, right? We all have the same project, but each group completes it differently, right? Some of us might have differences of opinions. Some of us are more, passionate. Some of us are more, like being like really like like him, how he's screaming right now. What I'm trying to say is keep doing what you're doing, and for all new and old investors, our goal is for everything that's happened in the market. We want fairness. We want a fair playing ground and generational wealth. And keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Well, we've effectively exposed so much of the stuff that goes on, the inner workings, the way the mainstream media, works, and how all of these people are basically using it's all money. It all ties back to money and who's getting money from who. And I guess that's the thing with me is the one true reason that I never accepted money here on this platform is because I never wanted to owe it to someone else to say what they wanted me to say. I always felt that the best way that I could be 100% true to myself and my thoughts and my own feelings was by not accepting money. Because as soon as you are accepting money, you now officially are having to toe the line or fit a narrative or fit a cookie cutter mold. And for me, I believe in this, so therefore I don't need to accept money. Yeah, am I going to eat, cheaper meals right now? Sure, why not? I don't care. Every extra cent that I get, I'm throwing at the stock because I believe in it. And I don't care how low they drop it. I'm still buying more. That's my personal decision and my personal choice. Does it mean everyone else should do that? No, everyone should do what they need to do as individuals, and I will never judge anybody. And Spence even said it and got bashed so much for saying it out loud that if you had to sell AMC for whatever reason and got out, who cares? That is your own personal right. That is your own personal decision. You will never be bashed here for making decisions that you need to make. One thing that I shy away from is people announcing it as a sort of like, look at me, this is what I'm doing, follow what I do. I can't imagine ever going down that road or, leading people down that path. I just never would. But just know this, I've never accepted money here because I do not want to feel forced into towing a line if I don't believe that it's the truth. I would rather just express my own opinions as truthful as possible about all matters. And that includes questioning CEO Adam at times and some of the things that he's done. It's not my job. I don't work for AMC Theaters. I didn't sign an NDA. I don't have to say things in line with the CEO. And chairman, I'm allowed to question his, what he's up to. What is he doing? And I think we all are as shareholders. We have a huge stake in this company. So therefore, it would be wrong of us to do all this DD and keep approaching the SEC and not, approach our own CEO and chairman who has the ability to actually get to the bottom of synthetic shorting on his own stock. So that's something that I just want to put out there. And thank you, Nini, for your kind words. And I think, honestly, no one truly knows if BSTX is, the end all be all or the answer. But what we do know is that blockchain is so trackable. It could be, the next step in the right direction to market fairness, to transparency. So that's something that I'm never going to be against if it leads us down that road.
When you're surrounded by corruption, a step in any direction helps get you out of it. And Tara, on what you said, if you have financial turmoil and you're sitting at home pulling your hair out and losing your mind and losing your mental health because you don't want to sell your AMC, you have to take care of yourself first if you're going to hodl and be a stable investor. And nobody's going to think less of you if you have to sell to take care of your family.
Just yesterday, Spence, I saw someone who called me the C word on here, by the way. She called me the C word and got her account shut down. She started a new account as this person. I don't know if it's truly who they claim to be or if it's some fake person running the account. Anyway, they say they're homeless, but they're holding AMC. Now, to me, that's for me personally, that's too far. I'm not going to be homeless and holding AMC. At some point, you have to throw in the towel and say, okay, I need to make decisions. But then that person went ahead and started a GoFundMe that people started spreading everywhere.
Yeah, the homeless...
So to me, at some point, you have to draw the line and say, okay, if you're able to hold a stock, most people don't have the privilege to even do that. If you're going homeless from holding that stock, fix your life, do something right for yourself, because that's not the way. I don't believe that that's the right path for people to take. I mean, I can't give people financial advice, but then to turn around and start a GoFundMe to pay your bills, I don't know. That's just too far for me.
And if you do have to sell to take care of your family or yourself first, your health, your mental health, don't leave the movement. Stay with the movement and support the people here so we can keep fighting for the fair market. I don't care if you own one share or no share. If you're here fighting for a fair market, you're part of us.
There are plenty of people who are with us who don't even hold the stock, but they're with the movement. They're with what we're doing here. So you're 100% right, Spence.
Yeah. And, there are people that are homeless are living in different situations right now that hold stock, and that's if that's what you want to do, great. But at the same time, understand that there is a grift going around. There are people going around, especially with bots, saying I lost everything. I lost my house because of AMC. I margined my house and AMC's destroyed me. You guys, that's such an old bot like shill tactic.
They've used that same thing every single time we've had down days. A bunch of bot accounts will pop up and start saying that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. And I'm so excited about this conversation because I think it's ironic and it's absolutely hilarious, because anybody who says they're homeless and then asks you for money, it's not really a choice. So if you're forced into homelessness, then definitely you got to do what you got to do. If you hold one share though, come on guys. I mean, that's what we're all for, right? Hold one share, leave it, don't touch it. Just if it's $13, $15, $20, really, come on guys. I mean, what do you expect what are we doing here? If you can't expect a homeless person to be able to make a decision like that.
It's no judgment on homelessness at all. The point is saying I'm now homeless, but I'm still holding. And by the way, here's my GoFundMe.
Yeah,
that I have an issue with.
I totally agree.
Especially when the person has attacked me personally, tried to discredit me personally. Here, it's really hard to stand by that. I can't. I'm sorry.
I agree with you,
Sarah. I like to ask a question on that. So I know you guys use Fidelity. I use TD here in Canada. The one I use is a TFSA, so it's a little different. It's tax savings. But if I wasn't using that, and I mean, I don't have any proof on this, I'll just give you an example about bank accounts, all right? So a long time ago, I think it was like 30, 40 years ago, my wife and I, we had like 2 different bank accounts at the same bank. And we ran into some financial problems, and we thought, because it was all coming out of one account for our bills, but we were having some financial problems, and the other one was savings. The bank just went in and took the money to pay whatever it needed to be paid, and I was shocked by that. So would not something like that occur if you will just say Fidelity and it's a bank and you have your mortgage and stuff, and now you're going homeless and you can't pay your bills, but you're holding a stock? Even if it's a cash account, wouldn't they have the right to pull that money out to cover your bills?
No.
No.
I'm on the board of 2 credit unions. The reason the bank can do that, because your money in your savings is the same as your money in your checking account as far as they're concerned. One is for you do the savings for you. You do the credit or the checking to pay your bills. Well, if you've got a note signed, okay, the only way they could have done that if it was loans with that credit union. If they did it, or that bank, if they did it for your gas or some other bill that they have nothing to do with, then that's illegal. But if you got a car loan that's with that bank, then they have the right to get that money to get their payment back.
Yes, that's what I was going to speak to. It's only applicable if it's a collateral that is being used. If those are liquid funds and you have a mortgage or a commercial loan or anything like that, they can debit those funds, but not for any other purpose. He is correct. My background is in banking before becoming self-employed. So it would be illegal for them to take that, even if you had funds that were set up where it was an auto draft type of situation for utilities or anything of that nature.
Woohoo!
Well, I don't think anybody's arguing with that. What's up, Real Toe? You got your hand up, man.
Spence, how you doing, sir?
Good. Oh, hey, everybody. This is the very suave voice Real Toe.
Heck yeah. Welcome.
You're so silly. I want to say, first of all, open this here up real quick. I've been holding for quite some time. I won't get into all the specifics of it. That's irrelevant. But what is? I always say this, I'm going to say it one more time. Guys, if you're out there holding AMC, I'm going to tell you what, you picked the worst damn demon in your life to fight. You could have picked any stock out. You could have picked Naked, Wish, whatever you wanted to. but you picked the worst damn one to fight, and that's the one that's going to pay you very handsomely. So if you're still holding, I commend you. I applaud you immensely. It's not an easy fight, but look where you are. Now, jumping on from there, today's market meltdown at 3 o'clock, I must ask, to me, that seemed like you got Microsoft and a few more dollars at 3 o'clock. I mean, they just dumped a bunch, so did crypto. Is that by chance them hollering for or needing liquidity real quick? I know they've been trying to scalp to get liquidity, but is this a chance that they're covering, selling positions off to get themselves in position for what's about to come here pretty soon, the next week or so? Or am I looking at this too far and too in depth?
I totally see it as liquidations because they're having liquidity issues, and short interest has gone up. I think it hit 21% at some point in time this week.
Yes.
Utilization went up, and it's not just AMC, guys. There's other short plays out there that they're struggling on right now.
Again, I just want to say thank you, Spence. I just wanted to kind of throw it out to kind of get your perspective. And was I just seeing a farce, or did I see what I actually did see? And it is coming down to, because they're all fighting. Investors are pulling out of their funds, investment funds, leaving them some liquidity. So I just wanted your perspective. So thank you.
Honestly, and there's been a lot of talk about Melvin lately. A 20% stock drop, I firmly believe we're going to hear a couple hedge funds are probably going to go out of business here pretty soon.
If you're a hedge funds, guys, we're not making fun of you, but you know who you are. You know, if they're out there, I don't feel bad for you because what you did was wrong. So, and if you're a good hedge fund, you do the honest thing, and you do speak on, you know, on morals, and you do follow the path of want to do what's right. So then I applaud you. Other than that, I love hearing the 20% down. That's another feather in your cap, guys. Keep watching, keep looking. Well, I was your DD every day on my Discord, so we're always, you know, discovering stuff going on. So again, Spence, thank you so much for the time. Tara, I hope that you have a great day if you're still on here. And until then, I'll see y'all next time.
Thanks, Real Toe. Good to hear from you, man.
You too, sir.
All right, let's go to the next hand. Let's go to CP Green, and then we'll go to Sue Ray. CP Green.
Hey, you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
Awesome. Hey, first time, I should say. I don't know, like, I just kind of wanted to piggyback on, like, what that guy was just saying. I know a lot of people don't trust TA a whole lot, but I've been drawing up charts for quite a few months, and everything seems to be pointing to just about 40 cents under where we're at right now for some reason. I don't know if it's a turning point or a make and break, but just thought I'd throw that out there. So anyway, thanks for having me up. Love you guys, and I'll drop down.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with TA. People need to do TA. I do TA. I don't share it because it seems like any bullish TA that you come out with lately on AMC, the shorts kick in right when we should be breaking out. And I've seen it every time. Every pennant, every George W., every cup and handle. AMC always breaks down when we should be breaking up. So that's why I personally stay away from TA. But it does need to be done. I think it's important. So what's up, Sue Ray?
Quick couple of things. Y'all jumped into the media earlier. Look back at who's got the money on that stuff now. Back in 1990s, they deregulated radio and TV stations so that you could own more than one radio and one TV station in a market. Now you can own 8 radio stations and a TV. Nexstar, Cumulus, iHeart, Town Square. You can jump through all those. Now then they own one whole network of the TV stations, and they own 6 to 8 radio stations in that market, so they can feed the same message to a huge amount of people. And they don't give a shit about their listeners because they're owned by these funds on the backside, and the CEOs getting paid by that. They're losing money out the ass. You look at the EBITDA on some of these damn media companies, the media companies losing them money, but they don't care. It's their voice to get a Gasparino on, because then they can pay some dipshit to come out and tell you a bunch of stuff. That's what I do. I've been doing that for 40 years, and I've watched them bleed off everything that's ever worked and make some money. They don't care about if I make them money anymore, as long as I keep them listeners and get them reach.
Well, nobody wants to listen to the news anymore because they've been so full of shit for so long and just stressful and sowing seeds of doubt. And look at all the media outlets that are now under fire. CNN is having a terrible time right now. And just the people who have been caught making fake stories, being caught filming fake stories, it's honestly, it's not the news anymore. It wasn't like when I was a kid and I watched Tom Brokaw just come out and say, this is happening here. Now it's a celebritized, opinionated piece now. I don't want to get on the news. I come to Twitter for opinions. I don't want to get on the news and hear Joe Schmo's opinion because they're sitting behind a desk, because they're
That's my
paid to
whole
give
point.
their opinion.
Yeah, that's my whole point. In the 90s, they broke that stuff down, and it's no longer we report anything. We tell you what we want you to hear because the owner wants you to hear this. And these calls, now then, you talk about numbers on CNN. Look at the numbers on these space calls and the number of people that have come up over here, and they're listening and actually learning something. They kept people stupid. Well, now then, you don't need them anymore.
People can
The
get to the
news
truth.
is now the National Enquirer.
Well, so the news has for a very long time. I mean, like, it's gotten worse, right? This has always been a problem with the media, even back to the beginnings of the country, because it is freedom of the press, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and they're trying to make money, and the people that were running those businesses we're looking for ratings, right? Because ratings bring in advertisement brings in revenues drives that business. Well, or it did, right? And so what the trend ended up happening was that they realized that sensationalism pays better than reality.
Yes.
And so if you can ignite a fiery passion of support or hatred, it doesn't matter which, as long as you put up something controversial, people are going to pay attention and watch, because it's going to either piss them off, and then they're then going to want to burn the station down, maybe metaphorically, maybe literally. Not saying they should do it. I'm just saying that, like, it makes people want to do that. And it then snowballs and escalates to a point where you can't trust anything anybody in the media says, because they're all so full of shit, because all they want to do is get the ratings to stay up, to be kept on the air. Mm-hmm. And so that's, that drives a lot of them. And then what they do is, to Ray's point, is that they push their narrative, even though their narrative isn't popular. But the fact that it is wildly unpopular and, in fact, hated gets people to watch it and pay attention. It's part of why Gasparino gets on to the internet and gaslights people. I mean, it's so obvious that he's doing that. And I understand the people that push back, and not wanting to be pushed around. I totally get that. And I'm all for, being right behind Tara and saying, you go get them, and, supporting where I can. But at the same time, every time we engage with him, that validates his existence. That Gasparino is an example. I'm not calling him out specifically, just as the easy example to use, because he's the most vitriolic of them that interact with our community, right? So if you stop giving them a platform by engaging them, eventually they go away. The problem is, though, then they're allowed to get away with some just absolutely, criminal behavior. So,
well, this is the part where our government, our science industry sector, our medical sector, all the celebritization of these people who are supposed to be working for us, say Dr. Fauci, his celebrity is the problem with what we're facing in a lot of things right now. Scientists and the science community, it really helped push the science programs to get on TV and stuff. But science, medical, military, and all this stuff, these people are not supposed to be celebrities. They're supposed to be professionals. Even in Congress, these congressional leaders are becoming celebrities, and it's destroying what their duties are to the country, and it's causing conflicts of interest. And it's the same thing with the financial sector. These guys are becoming celebrities, and they get on to say anything they have to say to keep that celebrity up. And that's why you always see them. We don't need to have Jay Powell on TV every 2 months crashing the market. That's celebrity. That's not his duty. He could even just as easily put out a statement talking about the status of the markets. You know what I mean? It's just, it needs to stop.
I think too that a lot of this is, if you'll notice, all of these that crave to be a celebrity are really just, they're craving the self, and they're not doing what's best for humanity or our community or the US or any of their constituents, because they're seeking self-grandization, and they're not looking to help the little people anymore. And you see that in every sector. um, just as I've aged, to see the changes of, like Spence was talking about, when he was young and he would turn on the TV and there would be, whomever speaking, and you trusted what they said, and that was legitimate, and that was the way it was when I was growing up. But we don't have it that way anymore.
Ron Burgundy is a more professional news anchor than 90% of the people we have on TV today, because he tells the news. What's up, Italy? What's going on, man?
Yeah, just sitting here listening to the conversation and about media. Yeah, it's all true. I think you and Tara need to wake up and start looking at yourselves as the influencers, not the influencers, but like our media, the media of, like, what's actually going on here and statistically wise.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
just a person creating a platform for people to share opinions, man. I'm not an influencer.
yeah, and you're fucking up the shorts big time with your data, with free information. They hate you. They want you off Twitter. They want you off YouTube. You're a disease to them. You, Tara.
I'm only here because of them.
This Jay Brett guy, this smart son of a bitch, man. This guy is smart.
Thank you.
You guys are destroying these people, and they want you gone. Like, you are a disease to them.
Do they bother me or something? I haven't noticed that. Like, I think I may have blocked them all or something. If they're in there giving me crap, I don't even know it. I don't even give a shit.
No, I don't know. I'm not
talking
talking
about
about
me with whatever they want.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the money they keep throwing at this thing, because you guys, we're all keeping it alive. They're losing money. The shit what they're doing, borrowing millions of shares. It's not free. It's a pain in their ass.
Well, I don't think anybody could have said it better, man. And it's not just us either. It's you guys too. You guys coming in here and talking. You put the hurting on them.
I work for the city, and the workers in any job are the real value to any company. It's not the boss. It's not what the media puts out. It's the actual workers. Up here in Canada, right? Sugar Kush, it's the truck drivers. It's everything. It's the workers. And we're the workers right now.
Yeah.
And they're scared of our power. They want to keep us dumb. They want to keep education low, just enough where, they can get by. But I think you guys are a big disease to them, man. They want you gone.
They got to keep you split in groups so you take time to fight each other. If we can keep we keep everybody split in little bitty groups that fight each other, then we don't look at all them.
If they can separate us, but we're a bit too smart for that now. Like, we've seen it all. They've done it. This has been like going on for months now. For some people, years.
You know what?
It's still working.
GameStop guys way longer. Those guys are ancient apes. We got into it, maybe a lot of us in May, or a little bit after.
I was in January, but I do want to call out that if it had not been for the pandemic, none of this would have come to fruition. I don't think they fucked up. They
Oh
fucked
yeah, well
up
they
by
got in,
letting
it
the
recovered.
pandemic happen.
The markets recovered on top of them so fast they didn't have a chance to bail. And they kept adding. Oh, they're fucked.
Well, they wanted to
Well,
steal
no,
retail money.
Well, they want our money,
they knew
just like we
they
want theirs, but they're
they
just trying to
were
keep
they
us
were
dumb. They're
short.
playing the media. Who is this
They were
Gasparino guy, man? This guy's a joke. Don't even talk about him. This guy is a clown. And this Mark Cahodes guy, man, he came in here, shone a lot of light. Yeah, you guys got things going on.
Well, and Mark got beat up by the same people that we're fighting. And like I said, there's a Bloomberg article that covers pretty much everything he went through.
Yeah,
And
I heard Tara also talking about, they were gonna send her some type of whatever, not harassment, but lawsuit. But like you guys were saying, they do this for a living all day long. Jim Cramer does it. He talks about it. That one interview about Overstock, I watched the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's naked shorts in this thing like you guys wouldn't believe, in my opinion. But it's sick. It's sick. And they want you guys off these space calls. They want you guys off the internet, Twitter.
That's why
the really funny thing is that so they did go short when the markets crashed, right? That's part of why they crashed in March. Is they
trying to do it right
have
now,
the
too.
inside track. Well, I mean, it's not that they're trying to do it. They fucked up so bad that they couldn't keep the whole system of fraud running because they created about 15 bubbles, right? They created a housing bubble. They created a supply chain problem. They've got this, like whatever you want to believe about the pandemic. Like I don't care if you believe it was manufactured or not. They
happened.
fucked up. They fucked up by letting it drag. If they had followed the advice of, what was his name? It was a guy from a fund. He was a really
I heard you talk
smart
about him
guy.
Before.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head.
You couldn't the last time
it's
either.
Not Sailor. It's not Sailor, but I watched this it was a couple days ago, and he was basically saying back in March of last year, or sorry, March of 2020, he was buying stocks when it was dipping really bad, and he said, the way that we solve this problem is everybody stays home for 30 days, except for absolute essential workers. And then the government pays for 1 month of rent for everybody and pays the people who can't work and which companies can't afford to have them work. And all this other stuff, right? Where he laid out a very smart plan. And he said, if you don't do it like this, the markets are going to crash. He outright stated it. And then what happened? The whole thing kept running. And I think, obviously they got greedy. That's what always happens. They get greedy.
Oh, greed is huge.
And they kept thinking, oh, well, we're just going to keep getting away with, this financial insanity that they're trying to pull off. And then the GameStop crowd, the OG GameStop crowd, I mean, the guys from 2017 that, you mentioned earlier, they were already hip to it, and Deep fucking Value was, he got a following. He was like, hey guys, look at this. This is from a fundamental perspective. This thing is way undervalued, this is the play and this is my YOLO. And he got the attention of the gamblers in Wall Street Bets. And they were like, wow, this guy's, he's insane. And they're like, this is our kind of people. This guy's, mentally messed up. And so people rallied behind that. And if they had not gone after GameStop or AMC, if they had instead gone after something else or some other things that people didn't care about as much, or that wasn't as iconic in people's lives through their childhood, right? Because they should know by now that the millennials are very nostalgic, right? I'm nostalgic.
Sure, yeah.
I'll admit that. I'm a millennial. Even though I don't typically follow the things that they quote unquote say that millennials are, fit that stereotype, because I am part of the earlier part of the millennials.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 35. So like
same
the
as me,
millennial cuts
37.
off. Depends on who you talk to and what time of the day and what season of the year as to what the cutoff date was for the millennials for a number of years, because there were some that was saying like if you're born after 1986 then you're a millennial, and then there was some that was like 1980 and some 1983. They couldn't make up their minds, right? I think they finally settled on anything after 1980. So I'm in that first 6 years, but anyway, that our generation grew up in a particular way, and we got pigeonholed into certain stereotypes that are not necessarily true on the whole, and they've picked out certain stereotypes to bash. And I think that not only are we smarter than all of them as a whole, we also are fed up with all the bullshit of the older generations, and
it's
so
cheating. It's theft.
Yeah, and so I mean that's why Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street happened. That's
For sure.
why we are here where we are. And if they had, and they had already characterized that entire generation as being nostalgic. If they had thought for even a modicum of a second about what they were doing, they would have realized, don't short GameStop, don't short movie companies, go after something nobody cares about. Like, go after Walmart or something. Like, fuck, everybody hates Walmart,
Go after the
right?
hood.
And or after Amazon, right? Everybody loves to hate Amazon. And I will say that, as somebody who has sat and worked at, AWS for nearly 7 years now, everybody loves to hate it, and it's interesting, having been on the inside for that long, to have seen what I've seen, because the things that people think go on aren't nearly as bad as what everybody portrays it out to be. And what people tend to end up seeing is one pocket, and those pockets do exist, but you're talking about over 1 million employees globally. And like, you're always going to have, like, when you have 1 million people in a company that are working for that company, like, it's bigger than most small cities in North America. Like, it's bigger than most suburbs in North America. Like, it's 5 times the size of my hometown. That's insane, right? Like, it's a huge amount of people. And so when you get that, you're going to get some bad actors. You're going to get some bad managers. I mean, hell, the reason why
a lot of those guys are bad too is because they're paid.
Well, I mean, so what are you talking about, the people in the media and the people who are short, or are you talking about the people working?
I'm talking about almost every aspect. You know what I mean?
I mean,
a lot of people are receiving money, or it's their favorite.
Well, so by and large, most people, particularly my experience at Amazon, has been that most people are good people with good intentions. The problem is with inept leadership, or with leadership who is willfully bad in some cases, or leadership who inappropriately takes the idea that their leader thinks they should do something a particular way, and so then they pass down that bad way of leading. And I can say that from direct experience, because part of the reason I'm leaving is because of a toxic engineer on my team who, like, literally has, since he joined the team, just been butting heads with me and is just pure toxic. And I was just like, I'm fucking done. I finally had enough.
There's other jobs out there, bro.
Oh, I know, and
Jay Brett, man, like the work you do, is like the market. It'll find its common ground eventually. They'll realize what they lost when it comes around the time that they need you, or someone else.
They know,
and they'll figure it out.
They'll
figure it out, but it'll be too late sometimes.
No, they know what they're losing. The thing is, like, I have a lot of respect within my organization. A lot. I spent 6 years building a reputation and trying to do the absolute best things I can for our customers, you know? And that, to me, at the end of the day, is what matters. Is like, you know, one of the big leadership principles is
That's why
customer
you're the rare
obsession, right?
person. You're the rare person in these
Well,
situations. Because maybe you were
I'm
raised
not.
right, unlike some other people.
I appreciate that, and yes, that I would say me being raised, I was raised very well. My parents did a great job raising me.
Your parents,
yeah, they were both wonderful. Part of it is just who I am and my genetics.
I always
but
see
yeah,
everything as a product of your surroundings. You know, everybody's a product of their surroundings. Well, you can't put a blanket on everyone, but
sometimes it's a product of your surroundings. Sometimes
if you want to know who
genetics.
someone is, you look at their past. But it would be interesting to see how
I like to add to that. Okay, you know what? I'm a product of my surroundings. I'm 60 years old, and I really feel like all you guys have turned me into a millennial. I really love it. I really do. I love it. You guys have changed my perspective on younger people.
Hanging around us too much, eh?
Yeah, I think so. I'm still trying to work out some of the lingo you guys talk about, but like, you know, I'm afraid to ask. I really am afraid to ask. What's a simp? I've seen it. What is it? I really don't know.
I don't even know myself.
So a simp is somebody who will fall all over themselves for a person to whom they are attracted. So you know, in traditional gender roles and traditional you know, dating roles, it typically is a guy who is overly infatuated with an attractive woman and is basically willing to do almost anything for her, even though she wouldn't care necessarily to give him the time of day. So simping
it's used as an insult. Like somebody would say, Paul, you're only in these rooms because you're simping over Tara or Jen or PJ.
Okay, I get it. You should have seen my face when I found out what mofo stood for. I had no idea what that was. I mean, that was 20 years ago. I was in an elevator with my wife. This couple walked in, and I don't know what they're talking about, but all of a sudden it was like this mofo, and I'm like, so we went to a bar afterwards, or actually it was in the hotel. It was a great bar. They had a piano bar. I mean, yeah, and we were celebrating our 20th anniversary, and this young couple who just got married asked us a question, right? How do you survive that? Well, I'm not going to get into that now, but I asked them, what the heck is a mofo? And when I found out what it was, yeah, I laughed my ass off, but I was like amazed. So, hey, thanks guys for teaching me. I appreciate it.
Nice.
Hey,
Hey, guys,
Jay Brett,
how
I
you
wanted to ask one more question though.
Go for it.
Do you see these Ken Griffins, and who is Melvin Capital? Who's the hedge fund leader there? Do you know?
Yeah.
Melvin.
Plotkin?
Is it Plotkin?
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Gabe.
So,
it's Gabe.
But if you check out these guys' net worth, like they're just using these companies as machines.
Yep.
And they're basically
they so are.
And then these companies go into debt. They lock their customers' money up, but they're already paid, man. They are the worst people.
I think the recycling of CEOs you're seeing lately is directly related to these hedge funds. I think a lot of these CEOs are placed to do what they need, certain financial investors need them to do. I think that's why you're seeing Dorsey step down. You're seeing
but
CEOs
Ken's got like 24 billion, and isn't that just now less than what his company's worth?
It's probably worse right now.
Well, I'm just saying they over leverage. They use the bank's money.
Well,
you know, I don't know about all that. You know, I hate to say this, but I've been in positions where we had all of these different situations. The thing is that the people who are working their asses off right now, like Adam, if they sell and they've been in this industry forever and they know how to handle this situation best, and they take a cut out of it, I don't have a problem as long as the company carries on. And
I don't care
it's
about
obviously
that.
doing.
That's golden. I'm talking about just hedge funds, for instance. If Adam knew what exactly was going on, he would have sold at 71 instead of 20.
Yeah, and
a lot of people like to bitch. Oh, he only made a few million. Well, imagine if you sold at 70. That's
Italy, let me clarify something real quick. So again, I will say this from my experience at Amazon and how compensation works. The way it works at Amazon and a lot of other big enterprises. So before I worked at Amazon, I worked at a place called Rackspace. I'll get into that in a little bit.
Rackspace, woohoo!
Yeah.
Go Rackspace.
Are you former Racker?
No, my ex.
Or do you know? Oh, your ex. Okay.
I know
you
white
live
hats
near
and black
San
hats.
Antonio. Okay.
UTSA, yeah.
Gotcha. So I went to UTSA for a little while and dropped out.
Smart move.
UTSA was not the right place for me.
Right. Glad you did.
That's a whole long story. But anyway.
Fuck yeah, Rackspace though. That's awesome. I totally trust you.
I worked at Rackspace for like a year and a half before I left, and when I left was about a year before the Apollo global takeover. So that's the story I'll get into a little bit. But here's how the compensation works when you're like in a salaried job at an enterprise company who has a like specific, particularly in the tech sector, particular package to try and attract talent. And what it is they will either give you options or they'll give you RSUs. Now, Rackspace, their compensation was absolute balls. It was the way that they attracted talent was they would pull in people who were brand new into the industry. They would pull you in and they would just run you through the ringer. I mean, because they did it all in the name of fanatical support. Now, I'm not trying to bash on them. I did enjoy a lot of my time there. I've met a lot of wonderful people. And in fact, one of the teammates who I worked with at Rackspace is who recruited me to Amazon. And had it not been for him, I would not be financially where I am today in a position where I can go off and attempt to start my own business. So I owe him a fuck ton, and he's one of my best friends. We didn't become best friends until I started working at Amazon. But we were on the same team together. He just worked a different shift. So the only reason we weren't great friends was just timing, because I worked what was the first shift, so your normal 9 to 5, but I worked for the international enterprise team. So every company I dealt with at Rackspace was multi-billion-dollar companies. Companies like Kellogg's or Netflix, or not Netflix, sorry, Kellogg's, Nestle, who was it at the time? So I'm saying these only because I have no idea if they're still customers there. This is very old, outdated information. So like, I'm not really revealing anything special or brand new or anything like that, right? A lot of the customers who were on Rackspace have been migrated because that's been their strategy for the last X number of years. But, you know, we had a lot of UK companies. So we had like a company that was like a music company, and we had, I think, Sony, and we had some others, right? And we had like 3 of the top 10 biggest food companies too, as some of the big clients at Rackspace. Now, all of those companies kind of have the same structure in how they do their or at least the higher levels, right? Like Amazon has a very similar structure. You get a base salary, and that base salary it's pretty good. It's if you're in the Seattle area or the California markets or New York, it's 6 figures. Just pretty much straight up, it's 6 figures. And then they throw additional compensation at you in the form of stocks, right? Microsoft has an ESPP program, which is an employee stock purchase plan program, where essentially you get 15% discount on the stock. And after it vests, and I think it's like 6 months, you're able to sell it. So even if the stock trades sideways for 6 months, you make 15%. It's a great deal. If you ever work for a company that does an ESPP, you should do it. And I did not know about that when I worked at Rackspace, and I missed a lot of money by doing that. A lot of money.
Hey Jay, Brett, mine's like I can those shares get unlocked for me like in a year, so I guess it depends on the company and the plan.
Hey guys, real quick.
Yeah, it does.
Real quick, just for some time reference here, I planned on ending the call at 5, so let's keep going, Jay Brett. But let's try to save some room for Mike he had his hand up for a while to let him say, and then we'll close out.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So the compensation is usually in the form of like an ESPP or options or restricted stock units, right? And that's something that's popped up with Adam Aron a number of times, is restricted stock units and performance stock units. And the way they work is when you first get hired on, like I did, you get an initial stock grant. My initial stock grant at Amazon was 125 shares, and it vested in 4 years. So what that is referred to a lot of times in the industry is the golden handcuffs, because it is enticing enough to try and keep you there for 4 years. A lot of people will bail after 2 years and go and jump ship to another tech company, and they'll jump back and forth because the compensation is better and you get your first vest of your 4-year vest. What they do is they spread it out over 4 years. Then at the end of it, they'll start giving you more, right? They'll keep trying to keep you on the leash a little bit longer by giving you that many more stock units to use. So if you were smart and you got into play and then you just held everything for 5 years, you made $500,000, you know, if you were timed it right, like I luckily did. I timed it right before AWS just started to release their numbers. So my stock doubled in 6 months. It was insane. But you've got those as the ways to keep people on. And what they do is, you typically can't trade them outside of a trading window, because a lot of times you're considered an insider. And so any statement to buy or sell a stock is considered insider trading, which is why I never tell people to buy or sell Amazon stock. I'm very specific about saying I'm not touching that subject, because I don't want to get hit by that. Because for somebody like me, that's a big deal. Like that could financially ruin me. Whereas, you know, a lot of these bigger players, they just, you know, shrug it off and they don't care. But anyway, back to the point of the all that stuff, like the idea is that those things vest over time, and that's a very large chunk of compensation. And like most of Adam Aron's stocks are in that format. And so, you know, when he hit those price targets, he got those performance stock units, and like he was able to sell them. But the other thing is, as I mentioned, that window. CEOs and all executives are beholden to only trade under a very limited set of conditions. And if they trade outside of a window and they have insider knowledge, they have to set up a plan with the SEC. And they have to they have to follow this format, otherwise they get hit by insider trading. So when Adam Aron did all of that, if he had any sort of insider information about there being a squeeze and about how bad shorts are, he absolutely 100% without a doubt could not act on that. Or he would significantly risk being hit really hard by insider trading. So a lot of people throw that around.
I think you said it perfectly, man.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that, and they think, oh, well, he was just selling because, you know, he was screwing people over. Like maybe that was part of it, but I don't know.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I never said anything about Adam Aron, but I was just saying if he was colluding, he would have sold at a different price point.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
No, I get your explanation, and I was just more or less alluding to Ken using that, you know, printing factory over there. But let's go to the next question here.
Yeah, let's go to these hands real quick, because I really want to let Flip talk at the end. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Spence. Thanks. I pinned a couple of tweets earlier today, Paul and Pippa, and we were in a few chats or tweets back and forth. But I want to give an update on Evergrande and some things that are happening. So there's an article out today by regarding Oaktree, and it's something we should pay attention to. Specifically, I mean, all our focus is, of course, on AMC and how the China debacle can affect AMC. But on the backside, if you have any retirement funds, you need to pay attention to this also, because your retirement funds may be wrapped up in the China real estate market.
Yeah, that's
and
good
specifically,
point,
specifically, I'll just quickly run down some numbers for you. So this Oaktree Capital thing, if you don't know about Oaktree, they've been around for a while. it turns out that Oaktree actually manages 67 of the top 100 pension funds in the U.S. They also are in 40 of the 50 U.S. states in terms of pension funds, and they also have in their portfolio over 300 of the endowment funds. They moved aggressively a couple of days ago to reclaim a property of Evergrande in Hong Kong, which was an interesting move. But more importantly, today they also moved on to mainland China at Shanghai to reclaim a property there, which I find very fascinating because I'm curious to see how the CCP responds to that move, particularly. But they are moving aggressively because obviously we know that they have the funds that are spent over there. We know from prior articles, research.org, that BlackRock has at least 75 billion of pension funds sunk in. And the other thing that I pinned up was an older item when I searched into the BlackRock funds. If you look at that tweet, you'll see it's starting to look like a who's who of the funds that have defaulted, and that's one of those Cayman Island funds that you can't get to the balance sheet because it's an off balance sheet entity. So and then on top of that, there is Citadel has at least 7 Cayman funds that are all hidden, that are hard to dig up. I couldn't
like
even get to their listings.
It's just like
a
Wall Street.
bad movie. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a gigantic iceberg. I mean, I was thinking about, some people were asking, how does this affect us? But it's a gigantic puzzle that we're just trying to piece together from one end all the way to the other end. And there's lots of moving parts to it all.
I can't wait till they make a real movie about this. It's going to be on my top 3 Wall Street movies. And I'm pretty sure you will see some of the characters that have been through these calls on it. So
yeah, so I mean, I post this stuff. It'd be great if somebody wants to, who's listening, you could in Twitter just search "smells like 08" capital S capital L, and then filter that through latest, and you'll see a bunch of the articles. There's older stuff I haven't tagged yet, but I'm expressing an opinion, but I have all of it sourced. I may be wrong on some of my reads, and I'd love to hear if other people can have a read or has another source that clarifies things, because the article came out 2 days ago from the Epoch. They're the only ones I see reporting on this, but they're reporting on civil unrest that's finally stirring up because all the migrant workers are basically without half their pay for the Lunar New Year. And, the CCP probably is suppressing news out of China about that problem too.
Well, I appreciate you, Mike, coming. I know I hit you up for that. I thought there'd be a bit more time for you to talk. It really is interesting that how the deep dive you go into this. Excuse me. So I would recommend anyone listening on the call, if you don't mind, Mike, to follow Mike, because he sees more in depth about Evergrande and the real estate properties and as such. And I remember you talking about how the Chinese people tend to, when they do buy a condo, it's bare bones. I mean, there's nothing, no walls, the walls are there, but nothing on the walls, no flooring, no nothing. And I thought that was fascinating. So if anybody's on the call, follow Mike. He's got some really good posts on it. And if you want to know more about Evergrande, because it really is, it could be the domino that really takes it all down.
Thanks, Paul. And to clarify that comment about the cultural aspect of the purchase, that I took from ADV China, these 2 Western guys who lived for a decade in China, married Chinese women, started raising families until they were forced out. But they cover a lot of the cultural aspects and directed me or informed me about the fact that these purchases are raw concrete boxes. So yes, the guy buying something, he now has to go in there and put flooring and everything into that. And these guys are buying something that actually in Shenzhen, I heard that it's now 40 times annual income to buy that property. And so the average income, you can't make that work. Not in our market. Everybody who's got mortgage knows it's usually 3 times annual income that you're getting a mortgage on. So, and that means there's no discretionary funds for consumption. So these are mixed use buildings. They want to operate stores in the bottom. You can't operate a store if nobody has discretionary income to spend on. So, what do? They're probably going to try to raise wages, but how do you do that when everybody coming to China is trying to get goods produced on a cheap? Well, now those goods are going to go up too. So it's a balancing act that is a big challenge.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Mike. That's something that kind of fell off my radar, and I hate to admit it, but we got so busy wondering what Adam Aron was doing and wondering what these other things that were going on that I almost completely forgot about Evergrande. So,
well, it has been a little quiet because I think they're waiting for the Lunar New Year, and I'm sure the problem is it's such a big story you can't cover it in one article. It's hopefully there's an investigative journalist that might be listening. Now it's going to be a 20-page article to draw the connection from Evergrande and initial investments from 20 years ago back to these Cayman Islands that are using these hidden VIEs that were supposed to be illegal after 2008.
You would think Gasparino would be reporting on that.
Well, it's probably way too complex for him to sink his teeth into.
What's up, Flip?
Yeah. What's up, brother? Hey, man. I just finally got a chance to get in the call. I'm super stoked, man. I've been listening in. You guys, it's just amazing to me, like the evolution of this group right here and just the people that have come together in this movement and just always, and just Mike, like bringing in the stuff with Evergrande, like he's digging into a whole area that, other people, aren't. And that's the whole thing. It's a collective, this whole group think. And then hearing Jay Brett, is going to leave his job and to dedicate to coding and really contributing something so invaluable to this company or to this community, and Swing, people like him in the background, he's doing work behind the scenes that, it's just, it's huge. And specifically you, Spence, dude, you've just taken the ball and just ran with it so much, man. I'm so proud to be a part of this group and watching your YouTube and just the dedication you're putting in, dude. I know you got a life. We all got lives, and the fact that you guys just continue to just plunk away and challenge and question and dig deeper and it's just amazing. I'm just so happy and proud to be a part of this, man. And I just wanted to pop in and say that, and just also, you guys, just keep in mind, we're a big reason why AMC is profiting so much right now, and as a group, and we can do our part and get out there. I'm going to try to see both Moonfall and Jackass. My son's old enough now to see Jackass, and I'm super excited because that was like our generation going out there, and I've got great memories seeing Jackass. I'm super excited to bring him up in the fold with that. And I'm just trying to get out there and support AMC as much as we can. And I'm just really jacked. I know you are about this news today with the debt, and I wanted to ask specifically if you think he's going to be able to disclose anything about a dividend possibility, or if you think maybe we'll have access to know if there was any negotiating in those covenants. I don't know anything about debt covenants, so I was just wondering if anybody is. I was really hoping to talk to Mark because I know he's got so many years of experience, but if maybe we'll have a chance to see if anything got negotiated on that end, or do you think that'll kind of remain private?
So that information came out this morning. Did you see the investor, the AK filing and the?
I might have missed it, so that's why maybe we could circle back since that was kind of the main focus of the call.
I dug into it this morning, and I really dug in. I couldn't sleep this morning, so I got up and looked it up. So the 8K filing basically said that the current debt that we have for AMC, that is basically being it's being called back or whatever. I can't remember the exact terminology for it, but basically the 2025 notes are being paid off by issuing new notes. It's 500 million. So there was 500 million notes at 10.5% interest that was being paid. And the new notes are 2029 maturity, and they're an 8% yield. And so I've one of the things I've always found odd and I didn't quite understand about the bond markets is like how interest rates and yields factor in, because when you get a bond, you know, it's a fixed interest rate. Like you buy a bond or you sell a bond and it's sold at a particular rate, and so it has a particular yield. So like at that point, what are you actually buying and selling between people? That's the part that gets all kind of weird to me. But when I still don't understand it yet, because I haven't dug into that market, because I don't care about the bond market in general. Like I don't want to have anything to do with the bond market. I don't like the bond market because it's intentionally created to be confusing, right? But the big thing is that the yield off of a bond is partially derived off the interest rate, i.e., the interest rate is a component of the yield. Thus, the yield is the upper limit of the interest rate. So, at the very highest, these new bonds that are being issued in order to pay off the $500 million at 10% or 10.5%, sorry, is actually at 8% or lower. Now, I'm assuming that because it's bond issuance, and this is just based off of what I've been able to figure in how the whole thing works, is that when you do the initial issuance, it's 8%, right? And that it can basically only go down from there, because as the bond continues to get paid off and you pay the interest, the yield goes down, right? So it's interesting how that works. I don't quite know the specifics of how the market part of it works, but what I do understand is that at the most, the interest is 8%, which is a 2.5% improvement in interest, which is going to save a significant amount of money. Now, is it a great deal? No. But for the current credit rating of AMC, which is a triple C plus, and the fact that they've now knocked it down 2.5%, but it's still above the reported inflation rate, that's attractive to a bond buyer, right? So if I'm going to buy a bond, or if I'm going to buy a fixed income asset, I want it to exceed the rate of inflation, or at least meet the rate of inflation, so that I don't lose money. And
it's attractive to a bond buyer that might not have the agenda that the current debtor, the current debt holder has.
Exactly. And so as a bond purchaser, the fact that it's sitting 1% over the reported inflation rate, and the fact that a lot of the media is saying, oh, well, the inflation rate's going to come back down. If I'm a rube and I'm going to fall victim to mainstream media, then I might believe that I should go and buy that bond because that's a good yield, and the yield's only going to get better with time. So,
well, and imagine if you're a type of a pension fund that's getting set returns and you need stability in your investment at this time when the market's taking a dump. That's a great investment for them, like you said.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. It also like in the case of AMC's debts, it's not as great for margin, but it is still more stable of an asset than an equity, and so it can be used to fund margin as collateral. And this is one of the things I think somebody brought up as a strategy, was that like, because you're a bondholder, a senior bondholder, you get first dibs at a company and their assets when a company fails, right? So, and that happens before shareholders would get paid out on whatever equity remains. So, if we'll take GE as an example, because GE was probably like my worst trade ever. And it was like basically on the brink of bankruptcy like 5 years ago or whatever it was, when I was buying into GE, going, oh, GE's they make all sorts of shit that everybody needs. They're an essential company, and
Like there's no way that they could really fuck this up that bad, but their financial arm fucked everything up for them. So like the stock dropped like 70% or whatever it was in the span of like 6 months, and it took forever to recover, and they had to get rid of they basically got rid of their dividend. And but like if that stock would have dropped to zero because of all of their debt, the first people who gets paid out is the debt holders, right? So the senior note holders, the ones with the I guess the highest rated debt. I'm not exactly sure which of the bondholders gets first dibs, but I believe the senior, the senior most debt gets paid first. And so you essentially have people lining up to take chunks of the company away. And when everything is said and done, you get your money back on a bond, a lot more often than a stockholder would if a company goes to zero. So if GE were to go bankrupt, I probably wouldn't have ever seen another dime. Granted, at the end of the day, I held that trade long enough that I made a profit, right? So I just kept holding, and eventually it turned back around, and I ended up with like a 10 or 20% profit. And then I took my profits and walked away. And I said, I'm never touching GE for another 10 years.
Speaking on the 8K, man, and this is what I want to end the call with, because apparently it just snowed 4 inches while we've been talking here in Albuquerque, which is insane. So we're going to have some bad flooding probably tomorrow. But the 8K, the intention to redeem the existing secured notes, it says specifically, the proceeds from the offering together with cash on hand will be used to fund the full redemption of the company's current outstanding $500 million aggregate principal amount of 10.5% senior secured first lien notes due 2025. So keep in mind, even and Jay, you said what, 8.5% is what you saw?
Oh no, I said so the 10.5% was what you were just referring to. 8% was in an article by Morningstar.
Okay.
And Morningstar is the credit rating agency. And they said that I think it was S&P or somebody had rated the last rating as of January 4th was a CCC+. But in that same article was where they talked about somebody, some credible source said that the new notes that were going to be issued were going to be at 8%,
and
or at an 8% yield.
And that's extremely attractive, like you said, to especially someone like a pension fund right now that might be suffering on long plays from the market going down. So not only are we going to drop percentage rates on $500 million of debt, which is amazing. I would refinance my house for 2.5% in a heartbeat, the reduction in interest rate. But the key is that when this is signed with the new lender, the chances, or the new buyer, the chances of the debt covenants being completely eradicated from this extremely restrictive set of debt covenants we have with the current debt, it opens the door for AMC to do everything that we've wanted them to do. And I would assume that Adam Aron has that in mind. I really feel like this is probably the most bullish move AMC has seen.
So I actually want to say I think that private no, I guess it was a bond, and that was the conditions on those. I was thinking that it might have been a private equity bond kind of thing, that they like got a private bond with all the debt covenant stuff. But I don't know, maybe that was part of the bond. I would just think that like I wouldn't expect that a bond would have those sort of additional bindings to it, or handcuffs, I guess you could say, on that note that they would be selling, because when they sell a bond like that, it gets chunked up and sold off to a bunch of different investors, right? Like that's kind of how the mortgage-backed security business works, which is a bond, or which is a series of bonds. And like they say they're going to buy some dollar value amount of bonds, which ends up equating to equal shares usually, because they'll either give them a discount or they'll upcharge them, a little bit. But the idea is that like you're typically not going to have only one person or entity purchasing a bond on the bond market. It's going to be like, here's the total amount of the bond, and then it'll just be chunked up into a bunch of different slices that people can buy up.
Yeah, I can go on Fidelity and buy current AMC bonds, portions of it right now. Which I think, if I read correctly, the two that are available for purchase are at a 5 and 6% or 5.5 to 6%. So,
well, hey, thanks so much for circling back to the topic and breaking that down for me, guys. That just totally cleared me up. I'm more bullish than ever. Go out and see a movie this weekend. And Spence and for the rest of you guys, I'm so appreciative of what the work you guys are doing. I'm just looking forward to the next call, and keep it up.
thanks for coming up, Flip. And yeah, on that, guys, I've got to get out. Jay Brett, man, dude, I'm gonna a lot of the snips, a lot of the frog leaps that I call the snippets from the YouTube videos that I'm gonna start posting. You're gonna be a big portion of that this time. Yeah, the bond talk was amazing. Everybody's input was amazing. I'm extremely bullish too, just like Flip said. Dude, the polls are coming in on my post on who we think is liquidating, and everybody's saying Melvin. So I hope everybody has a really, really good night. I'm going to see Moonfall tomorrow. I'm going to get my buzz on at Chili's and go see that movie. And then I'm also going to see Jackass too. That, if anything, is the nostalgia for me. So,
Also,
Jen, do you want to?
Crypto is also selling off too.
Yeah.
And
ooh, crypto sell off, huh?
yeah, it was earlier. I need to double check if it's still selling off, but it was down like 5%. It came off the top. So Bitcoin came off the top of the down channel, which aligned perfectly with all of this crazy market action, like it's been doing every single time there's been a crypto sell-off. It's like, crypto sell-off. Oh, guess what? AMC's getting shorted. And then
guys,
it'll go, and then like consolidate, and then crypto shorts again.
if anything, guys, this is not financial advice. Really think about putting away some cash to buy this market dip for long-term value. This is just my personal investment that I'm going to make. I'm going to continue putting $500 a month into AMC, into my other stocks that I play, and probably into some crypto now. I'm into OSTKO and T Drop on T0 platform now. But don't get spooked out of everything you're doing because the market's crashing. This is the time when you want to try to plan your buys for long-term growth. Look at
and this is
the market overall over a 20-year period and show me what you see.
Also, I want to add that this is also not financial advice, but you can also play the downside of the market. There are opposite plays to being long that don't require you to actually be short. You've got options if you feel comfortable with options. There are also short ETFs, and I know ETFs are kind of wonky, so be careful about which ETF if you're going to do it. But there are short
Kramer
ETFs out
short
there.
ETF.
There are short ETFs out there that hit entire sectors. So if there's one that you've done your research on and you think it looks like a good one to do, you can do that. A lot of people, I think, really are just going to play off of like puts on the SPY and puts on puts on SPY and VOO. Well, I don't know. There's a whole lot more value that can be extracted out of shorting Hood.
Yeah.
At this point, because they're almost completely in the dumpster. Like they got an arm and a leg in already, and they haven't just kind of rolled in yet. But
and you want to be careful of acquisition at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Because
if somebody comes in and buys it, you could get wrecked.
Exactly. Like if somebody comes in and buys it for like 20 a share, then you would just lose your entire investment in that short. And I also don't like to short at all. If I'm going to do anything, I do a put option. And then I found out when you're in the money on a put option, and it exercises automatically on you on a Friday. Monday morning rolls around, even if you don't have margin, and you have a short position for the day. And I was not expecting that. So I had a short on the housing market. I had a put against ITB that expired. It's an ETF, by the way, for housing, and I had a put at like I think it was 107 or something, or so I can't remember. But I was in the money by like 75 cents.
And so it started a short position, and I was like, "So Fidelity, what's going on there?" And they were
Oh, I
like,
remember you
it'll
posting about that.
It'll close out Monday morning. I was like, okay. So I let it sit. Monday morning rolls around, and it's still there. And I'm like, so guys, what's going on here? Is this gonna close out? Am I gonna have a short position and not have a margin account? What the F is going on? And then like end of the day it closed, and I was like, oh, okay, so I guess I should have just closed it sometime on Monday. So it looks like the way they do it, at least at Fidelity, is that if you have a put option, it closes in the money. You then end up with a short position that, if you don't have a margin account, will auto close at the end of the day unless you close it earlier than that. So
that's terrifying.
There is my lesson learned from the day. It's still an opportunity to potentially make a chunk of money if it exercises on you. But I thought it was going to expire worthless because it had been worthless for a while, because I had anticipated that the markets were going to crash at the end of last year. And so I had a bunch of, put options that expired on the 21st of this year. And I did great on that one, except that I didn't. And I lost thousands of dollars on those plays. But, that's part of my learning process for things like the options markets and, when I first got into investing. So anyway, I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, I want to say thanks, Jay Brett. I mean, you really help out these calls immensely. You help
Absolutely.
my learning. It's great. Jen, I really appreciate you being a co-host. Everyone should follow her and follow Spence. Spence, I appreciate you, man. Oh yeah, listen, I appreciate everything you do, Spence. I know you're doing your froggy clips. It ain't easy to do little clips on YouTube and get things up. And
it's annoying.
Well, I know it. Listen, I understand. I understand, but I appreciate all that you're doing and hosting these calls. And we're all a community. We're all pulling this together, but it's still you guys who are holding these calls and pulling down the weight, but keeping us together. I mean, we're all doing it, but you guys are the anchors, and I really appreciate it, including you, Flip. You're an amazing gug, man. I really appreciate it.
You guys should definitely follow Flip.
Yeah, so I just want to say thanks again and good night to everyone, and then hopefully tomorrow it's Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, be sure to follow everyone up on here. So, Flip, Jay Brent, glad you guys came up here. You guys always have awesome things to say. Same with you, Paul. Everyone else. So, PJ, I guess she dropped. Yeah. I actually I have to head outside. We just got hit with a ton of snow.
So did I.
I live in West Michigan. Yeah. So, and our driveway is, of course, like forever and 5 years like long. Okay, that made no sense. We got a super long driveway, so my husband and I have to get outside and start shoveling. So
my dog is so ready to go play in the snow. It's not even fun.
I don't envy you living in Michigan with your snow. I can drive an hour and a half and have snow, and I'm happy with that. Of course, I get snow once a year at my house. So,
all right, everybody, thank you for coming to the call. Thanks for the bond talk. AMC is bullish to me. Our Q4 looks awesome. We're going to get through this market dip, and I think AMC is going to prove